Hey, you want to take a picture by the car?
No, thank you. Hello, everybody. Okay, wait. I just realized, excuse me, good morning. I just realized I need to change my banner real quick so it's accurate. What are we doing today? It's Jane Doe. Shout out to the South of England cousins in the chat. Jane Doe direct examination continued. Third day. Possibly start cross examination by DIDDY lawyers, question mark. We'll see. Okay. Clearly I'm very prepared. All right. Here we are. Hi, hello, good morning, good morning. Shout out to the mods in the chat. What are we doing today? It's Jane Doe. Her testimony is continuing. This is the third day of her testimony, and over the weekend some things happened. We had some updates, as it were. Diddy again trying to get a mistrial. I do have the document for that here. We may be able to look at later. I want to make sure we're caught up with what's actually going on here in the trial, but just to let y'all know, because it's something that really made the waves across social media this weekend. Excuse me. I'm still feeling like a little bit not good. Like, how long have I been sick? Like 3 weeks? It's been a long time. Anyway, but it did kind of make waves over the weekend on social media and all of that Diddy's trying to get a mistrial because they're claiming on his side that they've caught Jane Doe in a demonstrable lie, and they're trying to get like prosecutorial misconduct and stuff. But I don't really think it's gonna get far. The judge said that he's gonna decide on that issue tomorrow. So just to let y'all know, like I said, we might be able to we might have time to go into that motion, or the letter motion that Diddy did submit this weekend, or maybe it was Friday, through his lawyers for a mistrial. But just so that you know, for the purposes of today, Monday, June 9th, 2025, 9:07 a.m., the judge has stated that he is going to put off deciding on that specific issue about a mistrial until tomorrow. The reason he's going to do that, or at least until later, maybe it'll be later today, but I think it's going to be tomorrow. Maybe we'll get some more insight on that as we look through our sources. But I wanted to update y'all that, yes, there's a motion for mistrial. We might go over it later today, but as for the purposes of like right now, you don't need to worry about it because the judge is not going to be deciding on it. Hold on. Okay. Let me share the screen and let's get right into the tweets. I don't know if Jane has taken the stand yet. Shout out to the Irish cousins in the chat. I feel like if you have green eyes, like you got to be related to the Irish people somehow. That's what I feel like. I have green eyes. I don't know if it shows up on camera because I don't turn these lights up very bright on days like today, like long stream days, because it is, it's painful. It hurts my eyes. It hurts my head in the front right here. It's just too much getting blasted with lights all day. So I don't know if you can see the color of my eyes, but anyway. The true color anyway. All right. So we're on Inner City Press. The sources that I have up right now, the only ones that I saw that were actually live updating as of now are Inner City Press, my favorite source. I'll link to him in the description box down below. We have CNN, The Details Queens, Washington Post. We have NBC. We have The Independent and USA Today, but they're like hit and miss and mostly miss. I mean, I had them up because nobody else was up yet, but don't get your hopes up for USA Today to do anything worthwhile. Okay, so let's start with Inner City Press. Okay, now U.S. versus Sean Combs, day 19, with Jane still on direct, issues about her anonymity, and Inner City Press covering the trial. Oh, now he has audiobooks. Shout out to Inner City Press. Okay. This is 17 minutes ago, before the jurors were brought in. The judge says, I have the defense's motion to dismiss. This is what we just talked about the motion to dismiss. But the government has said they're going to respond today. I don't have anything from them yet, so we'll need to address the motion to dismiss tomorrow, along with whether Dr. Hughes can be recalled. Okay, so there's two issues the judge is going to address tomorrow. This is what we already discussed and already spoke about, which is the motion to dismiss. And then also there is a motion by the government, by the feds, to bring that doctor back, that forensic psychologist, to bring her back onto the stand, because the feds claim that Diddy's team, by asking certain questions and framing their arguments through their questions in certain ways about some of these victims and witnesses, that it requires Dr. Don Hughes to come back and answer some questions that previously the judge said could not be answered, but now they need to be answered because Diddy, so-called opened the door. So I don't know what the judge is going to decide on that. I guess for some reason, if I really had to guess one way or the other, I think the judge is going to allow the doctor to come back. I guess there's one reason I do think that. Two reasons. The first reason is that Maureen Comey does seem to be pretty good at making these arguments about evidence, like keeping things in for certain purposes, whatever. It does seem like she is maybe a little bit better at making some of these more nuanced arguments than Diddy's team on the whole. But the other big reason I think the judge is going to let this Dr. Hughes come back is because there's been a recent decision, I believe on appeal, in the Second Circuit, where a doctor's testimony of this same sort of Dr. Hughes's testimony was allowed to come in because of specific issues having to do with like sexual assault victims and like a lot of stuff that these doctors testify. It might feel like it's like common knowledge to somebody like you and me. I know I have a very educated subscriber base and have a very wise and just intelligent without any education. Like that's not, some things education can't educate on, like common sense and like understanding, like from an empathetic or whatever level of like why someone might, for example, stay in a relationship. There's many reasons why someone might have spotty memories, why someone might not be able to remember the exact date, why someone might have not had a memory of something until something triggered it. Like we understand these things. And so it had started being an argument in court by lawyers, even Diddy's lawyers, that like this doctor testimony is just so common sense. Like everybody knows this already. Please, we don't need some doctor coming in here and acting like it's a professional expert telling us, why people stay. Everybody knows that now. Okay, so there's been a lot of lawyers arguing that in addition to, including Diddy, Diddy's lawyers, about this doctor in particular. Well, just like a few days ago, June 3rd, June 4th, something like early June, just a few days ago, today's June 9th, a big case was decided, I believe, on appeal. So it was like reaffirmed rather, that the doctor testimony like this is allowed. So that's like the big reason why I think probably the judge is going to let this Dr. Hughes come back, because whenever he made his original decision on what Dr. Hughes could say, that other case, I think it might be called Ray, don't quote me on that. I'm just doing that off memory. So those two issues, long story short, those two issues are going to be decided tomorrow by the judge. Number one, Diddy has a motion to dismiss having to do with Bonna, having to do with the balcony incident and perjury or something. And we may go over that document. We may go over that document later. And the other thing going to be decided tomorrow by the judge is whether or not he's going to let this Dr. Hughes come back. All right. The judge said, with that said, let me like the tweet. With that said, let me see lead counsel in the robing room. Okay. The robing room is like the judge's office, like getting called to the principal's office. It's like the principal's office of the court is the of the trial is the robing room. It's where he puts his robe on. So he goes to the back with lead counsel for both sides. That's Mark Agnifilo on the Diddy side, and that is Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, on the prosecution side. So them two and a judge on the case go into a room together. Okay, this sounds like the start of a bad joke. Mark Agnifilo, Maureen Comey, and a federal judge walk into the robing room. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? And I clearly, in my opinion, Inner City Press is having the same thoughts. Look at his brackets. He puts his thoughts and his notes in the brackets. So what is being discussed? He said, the issues around the order on pseudonyms. Did Jane's counsel, Jane's lawyer, ever submit her supposed list of, excuse me, let me find the. Did Jane's counsel ever submit the supposed list of outlets and YouTubers that mentioned her name, the publishers of her name? No indication of that on the docket, despite Inner City Press having filed this filing right here and the judge having given an order on it. So what is being discussed? That is the most recent tweet too, y'all. What is going on back there? That was 21 minutes ago. They went back there. Trials are supposed to be public. Like, this is so ridiculous. I do not think this is not cool. This is not cool. I don't know what this judge is doing. Truly, sometimes I'm like, he's such a good, fair judge. And sometimes I'm like, what is the man thinking? Okay, let's read the 2 updates so far. I mean, it's 9:16. Court is supposed to start at 9. Now, instead of super secret sidebar discussions, try to say that 5 times fast, instead of just super secret at the sidebar and super secret at the emails, now we've added a third super secret that the public has no idea what's going on. And, you know, it does make me wonder. Now, again, disclaimer, and I really mean it, do not put Jane Doe's, true identity or anything in my chat. Don't speculate about it, please. This is not the place for that. I understand that there are other places where you can do that. So maybe, I don't know, go over there. I'm not going to be participating. However, the reality is that, in my opinion, I'm not an expert, but that from what I understand, the judge doesn't really have any jurisdiction to stop members of the public, such as me or YouTubers, who are not going into the court, right? Like, we're just sitting in our house doing live streams. The court, from my understanding, doesn't really have the authority to stop the public from speculating on Jane Doe's name. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe there's some type of authority I don't know about, but I can see how the judge may have authority over people in the courtroom, right? If he's somebody's sitting in the courtroom and the judge is like, anyone in this courtroom, you may not advertise or publicize any features of the Jane Doe, including the press, including the whatever. Now, do I really think the judge has jurisdiction to do that? Like, truly from a constitutional perspective, no. But I do think that that is pretty much accepted, that judges can do that. And if you don't follow that order, then you're not allowed to come back to the trial. I think they do have that type of authority, like a jurisdiction. But that being said, I personally, from an ethical and moral perspective, as well as also legal, like, I'm not trying to be the one to be the guinea pig to find out if the judge has jurisdiction, but really moral and ethical perspective and standpoint, like, just personally, my morals are just like, I'm not going to try and, it's not the hill I want to die on with transparency, right? Like the Jane Doe's real name, personally. That being said, with all the super secret stuff going on in this case, the little emails that are just getting, look at this docket. Just look at the docket, for example. let's just look at the most recent. This all was filed yesterday. Everything on the 8th, right? Okay. A letter. What was this one? Docket 382. A letter to the judge dated June 8th, but it was with correspondence with email attachments from June 1st, June 4th, June 5th. These are all of this stuff that we were supposed to be seeing in real time, and now it's just hitting the docket, okay? All of this stuff was just filed yesterday. A letter from May 28th. This is like 2 weeks ago. Who cares at this point? And I also wonder if they're not doing this like somehow to just kind of like keep on purpose, keep the media and the press, which I'm not the media and the press. I mean, I have the freedom of the press, but I'm just a person talking on the internet. But it really does throw a bucket of water on what would have been like hot, important issues of public concern, outstanding issues in the public interest. And it's like, look, a letter from June 3rd, 1st, letter from May 30th, June 3rd, all this stuff hitting the docket. And it's like, how do we even know that this wasn't, how do we even know that it's all of it? You know, it's stuff like that. It's like, why? This is a freaking circus. Why don't these people just, if you can, one of the reasons that it's so much stuff, I think, is because the judge is letting them do this. If you can just fire off an email to the judge, you don't have to go through the process of putting it in the docket and doing that. Then it just lets it become a free-for-all. And that is what we are seeing. That, in my opinion, is what we are seeing. Just a free-for-all. It's the freaking clowns running the circus. Okay. And the judge needs to step back into being in charge. And I think that all of this super secret and all the sidebars and all the sealed exhibits and all of it has compounded to such a way that it's giving a little bit of the Streisand effect, which is where it's like, if you want to try and get somebody to not talk about something and you try, the harder you try, the more people are going to want to see it and know about it and listen to it. I feel like that might be what's going on here. And it's like all of this super secret backroom meetings, I think, might be fueling some of the public's curiosity to find out who is Jane Doe, who is Mia, who is such and such so-and-so. And it's like, this is all stuff that both sides knew was going to happen. And unfortunately, actually, Diddy's side accurately predicted. It's going to be difficult to keep these Jane Does anonymous because you really can't control what the public's going to do and say. It's just things to think about while we wait for them to get done with their super secret meeting. Okay, so 53 minutes ago, CNN.com, they posted Jane will be back on the stand today at 9 a.m. Well, she certainly was not on the stand today at 9 a.m. because it's 9:22. Prosecutor Maureen Comey said she will likely still take most of today, if not the whole entire day, to finish her direct examination. Okay, so we're cutting it very close to Diddy's side's. If she takes all day today, I'm making a prediction. If Maureen Comey uses the whole day with Jane Doe today, I predict Diddy's side is going to try to get a mistrial based on that. Because that will then mean that the prosecution might have had, wait, hold on. I might be getting my days mixed up. She started testifying when? Did she start testifying on Wednesday or it was Thursday? No, okay, so beep, scratch all that out. I got my days. I added an extra day. So this is her second. What do I have on my thumbnail? 4? I might have put the wrong thing on my thumbnail. I'll have to look into that. It's very hard to keep up with where we are. Like, it's all just a blur. I can't believe we're on day 19. 19, like, wow. Oh, another thing happened I wanted to tell y'all about too. Diddy's side has put in their proposed jury instructions, like what the judge would read out to the jury before they go make their decision on if he's guilty or not. It's long. It's 13 pages long. So maybe we'll be able to get into reading that today. Maybe I'll make a separate video about it. Shout out to y'all though. This is like live stream city. I have not had a lot of time to make pre-recorded videos, especially for this channel, That Surprise Witness. Now I do have some coming out consistently over there at BJ Investigates. But I put out a pre-recorded video yesterday and it was #1. So shout out to y'all. It was about Robin Greenhill. Shout out to Rabbit down the Rabbit Hole News. She did eventually send me that transcript, but I texted her like, I DM'd her at like 6 in the morning or something. So she just hadn't seen it when I recorded it. But shout out to y'all for that. So, okay. Jane's going to be back on the stand today. She testified Friday about the hotel nights. That's what they were calling the freak offs when it was with the Jane Doe and Diddy. They called it freak offs with Cassy. They did also call it hotel nights and other stuff, but this, whenever she says hotel nights, this is Jane Doe talking about freak offs. Okay, and she also calls the escorts entertainers. I have some theories on why that is, but I don't want to discuss her identity in any way. So, all right. Jane testified Friday about the hotel nights she said she endured during her relationship. Jane described how she told Diddy she wanted to stop them, and she broke into tears when she detailed having a hotel night on her birthday. 33 minutes ago, the judge said he will pick up the defense's mistrial motion tomorrow. We already discussed this. He says he'll pick up the defense mistrial motion tomorrow because the government plans to respond in a filing at some point today. The defense team submitted to move for a mistrial over the weekend. The motion was based on the testimony of Bana, which defense attorneys says is demonstrably false. It's just like, are they taking notes from the Alex Spiro book of defense lawyering? Okay, so Jane is back on the stand now. Okay, 8 minutes ago. We have a lot of updates from Washington Post. Let's go to Inner City Press just to make sure we're up to date. But I do want to swing back around to the Washington Post. Yeah, I want to know what this is. I want to actually retweet this and be like, wondering the same. This is the most secretive public trial I ever heard of. Highly unconventional to have all these off the record filings / letters / emails to judge, according to Inner City Press. Okay. 9:18 a.m. I'm glad you put the time there. Jury being brought in. All rise. Is it 2 or 3? All rise. It's 2. All rise. The court is now in session. United States of America versus Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs and his criminal ST racketeering, RICO, and everything else trial. The jury comes in. They get Jane Doe on the stand. Good morning, Jane. Good morning. Okay. Publish this photo to the jury, but it's not on the screen on the public gallery. Okay, so they put up a picture to the jury, but only the jury can see it. It is not visible to the public. Question, who is this? Jane said, it's Sean. She calls him Sean, but whenever she says Sean, I just say like Diddy usually, or Sean Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. So she's like, this is Diddy's security. Okay, so there's a picture of Diddy's security. I don't know why that can't be shown in the gallery. I mean, some stuff I understand why it can't be shown, but a picture of his security, we can't see that. Please, this is so stupid. It's like, it starts to diminish my sympathy for needing to keep some things public, and it starts to make me actually feel more strongly that if you give people an inch, they take 3 miles. 0.3. Let's see. Is there anything else new? Okay. What is this a picture of? That is Diddy's deputy butler. Girl, he got so many butlers. He needs one to be the deputy. Oh my God. There's a sheriff butler or what? Who did you call ATL? The entertainer Sly, Jane said. And I called him that, Sly. I called him ATL because he lived in Atlanta. Okay. Your message to Diddy, what was it about? Jane said it was about my trip. I get distracted reading other stuff. This message to Sean was about my trip to New York in 2023. He wrote, "Send me some stuff of you being bad." Okay, so he's like soliciting. If I'm reading that text message, I'm assuming that he's saying, "Send me some sexual explicit pictures." Okay. All right. So we actually have a lot of good stuff on Washington Post. It might take us a few minutes to get caught up here, but we are caught up over here on Inner City Press. Let me do one more refresh just to make sure we're fully caught up and we don't miss anything like in real time right here. I like that number 377.7. Yes, we do have another tweet 9 seconds ago. Okay, so what are they talking about? They're talking about Sly. They're talking about butlers. Okay, so first question she was asked, who is this? They show a picture of Diddy's security. Next, who is this? Oh, that's the deputy butler. Nice. Okay. Who did you call ATL? Jane says the entertainer Sly. Because he lived in Atlanta. Okay, your message to Sean, what was it about? She said, sorry, y'all. I'm still trying to get over whatever that illness was. Okay. Your message to Sean, what was it about? Jane says it was about my trip to New York in 2023. Diddy wrote, "Send me some stuff of you being bad." And then he says, "I got the phones. Just sent me what I don't have. Don't say no to me, please." I don't know what it means. Okay, question. In response, what did you write? She said, I wrote, "You're traveling with our phone?" You mean not Sean's two main phones? Yes, his assistants had access to those. I'm not sure what's going on here, y'all, to be honest. This is confusing to me. My trip to New York in 2023. That's what we're talking about. He wrote, "Send me some stuff of you being bad. I got the phones. Just send me what I don't have. Don't say no to me." And then she writes back in response, "You are traveling with our phone?" And the question in response to that is, you mean not Sean's two main phones, not Diddy's two main phones? I don't know what they're talking about. Hopefully we get some more updates, context with these other outlets, but that is the most recent tweet. So let's go to 1 hour ago, Washington Post. Jane has already delivered some of the strongest testimony of this trial. We're roughly halfway through the testimony of one of the trial's most compelling witnesses. A woman using the alias Jane, who dated Diddy as recently as last year. She frequently broke down on the stand last week as she described a relationship that began with lavish trips and a charm offensive by Diddy before devolving into domineering control, abuse, and allegedly being coerced by Diddy to have relations with male escorts. She will continue telling her story this week and faces cross-examination from Diddy's attorneys who contend the couple's roughly 3 or 4 year relationship was consensual. Like Cassy, who last month gave the jury a very similar account of Diddy's behavior when they dated in the 2010s, Jane is delivering testimony that goes to the heart of the prosecution's case, that the record producer used his money, power, employees, threats, and violence to traffic vulnerable women at what he called hotel nights or freak-offs. Essentially, private pornography shoots in which they had relations with other men while Diddy allegedly directed, filmed, and took care of himself during a substance-induced haze, and sometimes they lasted for days on end. Jane testified that although she was initially open to these ordeals, one of her first warning signs came when Diddy refused to let the escorts wear protection. Then she found she needed his permission to travel. She told the jury. She ended up in freak-offs so often that she had no time to work and kept nannies on standby for her child. Eventually, she said, her and Diddy agreed to a love contract. She was expected to perform in freak-offs, and Diddy would cover her rent and other expenses. But he only covered her rent, she testified. Just to clarify here, she testified that he gave her an amount and it only covered rent. She said she had to pay for her expenses. These payments for the rent, Diddy is apparently still making, even as she testified against him. Jane said she wanted out of the freak-offs, but she felt trapped by Diddy's control over her finances. I don't want to play this role in your life anymore. It's dark, sleazy, and makes me feel disgusted with myself, she wrote in a 2023 text message shown to the jury. I don't want to feel obligated to perform these nights with you in fear of losing the roof over my head. Diddy responded, girl, stop. Okay. 1 hour ago, Carla Spartos, over the weekend, Diddy's. So this gives us a little more details into that motion to motion for the mistrial. Over the weekend, Diddy's defense team filed a letter to the judge requesting a mistrial based on prosecutorial misconduct. Last week, Diddy's lawyers showed proof that Diddy wasn't in LA September 26, 2016, the date the government witness, Bana, alleged that Diddy dangled her from a balcony in her 2024 lawsuit. Bana testified that she was using substances heavily at the time and couldn't remember some key details, including the exact day of the alleged assault. But she said she had no doubt that Diddy did assault her on the balcony. The government has presented testimony. Okay, so this is a quote from the motion for the mistrial. The government has presented testimony that it knew or should have known was materially false related to its allegation that Diddy dangled Bana from the balcony of Cassy's apartment in September 2016. Accordingly, to avoid an unfair conviction in this case, the court should grant a mistrial. I mean, I'm not with them on that one. I'm not with them on that one. The defense's previous request for a mistrial was based on, the defense's previous request for a mistrial based on testimony from another witness was denied. So this isn't their first attempt at a mistrial based on somebody's testimony. 42 minutes ago, Wesley Parnell, Washington Post. A phalanx of TV cameras and news photographers surrounded the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan on Monday morning, awaiting the 19th day of testimony in Diddy's trial. Every day, there has been a line of spectators and members of the public waiting to enter the courthouse. Photographers capture images of the Combs family, who arrive in a Mercedes Sprinter van with tinted windows. We're roughly halfway through the trial. We made it halfway, everybody. And the government could wrap up calling witnesses by next week. So today is Monday. Okay, so we still have another week of witnesses from the government, and probably two more weeks, because they're saying could wrap up by next week. On Monday, that's today, we will hear from Jane, a former girlfriend of Diddy, who has provided days of grueling testimony that including allegations of ST and abuse. 38 minutes ago, Diddy has entered the courthouse and is mingling with his attorneys and legal team. Over the weekend, his lawyers filed a motion requesting a mistrial. We are expecting to hear the judge address the concern. It says today, but the judge already said it's going to be tomorrow. But he did kind of address it today by putting it off till tomorrow. Defense lawyers claimed that prosecutors put a witness on the stand, Bana, who had perjured herself. She testified that Diddy dangled her off a 17-story balcony in LA in 2016, but Diddy's lawyers provided evidence that indicated Diddy and Cassy were in New York on that date and couldn't have dangled her off the balcony. 36 minutes ago, it was an update on that. The judge had granted the government a day to respond to Diddy's legal team, which filed a motion for a mistrial on Saturday afternoon, alleging prosecutorial misconduct. The judge asked each lead counsel to come into his chambers Monday morning before the start of the day's proceedings. So he called them back to the back, just the two lead lawyers, Agnifilo and Comey. But he did not say what they would be discussing. I wonder if he recorded it. Meet the three women sketching Diddy at trial. So these are the court sketchers. That's cool. Three women have full control over Diddy's image, at least until the end of his trial. The front row of the courtroom where Diddy is pleading not guilty to federal ST and criminal racketeering charges, the trio sits in the front row, each peering at the witness stand through binoculars, hastily producing sketches that will be disseminated to news organizations worldwide. Look at them. That's cool. That's a cool job. Okay, 18 minutes ago, after the judge requested to speak with each of the lead attorneys in his chambers, the courtroom was abuzz. Mark Agnifilo returned and huddled with his legal team while Diddy listened intently. Prosecutors huddled as well, but in a separate corner of the room. It was unclear what the meeting was about, and the judge does not seem like he will address the conversation. That's shady. It was an unusual way to begin a Monday morning. Jane is on the stand and is expected to continue her testimony. We have at least one new update. Yeah. Okay. 8 minutes ago, the court was buzzy and then eerily quiet Monday morning. This is Ann Brannigan, Washington Post. As lawyers walked in and out of the judge's robing room and then huddled in their respective corners in deep discussion. What are they talking about? As the side door to the court opened, the judge called for everyone to rise for the jury, and then he told everyone to sit down. Oh, girl. The judge got a new clerk, and the clerk has started today. Who is it? Okay. The judges don't have interns. They're called clerks, and they're like, they help the judge out and stuff. It's usually like people that have recently graduated from law school or people that have been a clerk in another court, stuff like that. Almost certainly Judge Subramanian himself would have been a clerk in federal court. I think he may have been a clerk for the Supreme Court, or am I thinking of a different person? Anyway, okay. So they're kind of telling us something about the discussion has something to do with this clerk. The court was buzzy and then eerily quiet Monday morning as lawyers walked in and out of the judge's chambers, his robing room, and then they huddled in their respective corners in deep discussion. As the side door to the court opened, the judge called for everyone to rise for the jury and then told everyone to sit down. He told him to sit down because it actually wasn't the jury coming in. It was the clerk. And it was like his first day. And the judge told the court. So the judge told everyone, joking that it was nice that everyone stood up. That's the kind of treatment you can expect in this courtroom, the judge apparently said to his intern. But that doesn't tell me what they were talking about in the secret little in the back robing rooms. So it kind of seems like they were trying to imply maybe like it had something to do with that intern, but it didn't. It was just a separate issue, another little drama. But I do like that from Washington Post. They give us the details. I call them the details queens. Okay. Okay, so where we left off with Inner City Press was this tweet 13 minutes ago. Diddy's saying, I got the phones. Just send me what I don't have. Don't say no to me, please. What did you write? I wrote, you are traveling with our phone. Like not one of Diddy's two main phones that his assistants have access to. So maybe it's like a secret phone, a separate phone his assistants can't access, and it has all his pornographic materials on it or something. I mean, I don't really understand. I didn't understand the tweet when we read it. Okay, so then Jane said, I wrote back to him, you are using this, you want from me. You want me to send you some explicit, remember, because what he asked for was, send me some stuff of you being bad. So here she is going, you're using this to get yourself excited and aroused for someone else. And Diddy said to you, what did he say? So she's reading text messages. Diddy wrote back, wait. And he said, what did you say? Hold on. Okay. I wrote, you are using this to get yourself aroused for someone else. You want me to send you stuff so that you can get hot and heavy with somebody for somebody else. No, I'm not sending you that. And then Jane says, I wrote, I'm not coming to New York. You just want me there for a hotel binge. And what did you say? Jane said, I saw a podcast. Okay, so podcast. So Jane wrote to Diddy. She's texting. Jane's sitting on the stand right now, reading text messages between her and Diddy. It's a text message exchange where Diddy says, send me some pictures of you being bad, if you know what he means. And she's like, no, I don't want to send you that because first of all, you're just using this to go and get your rocks off with somebody else. So no, I'm not coming to New York because all you want me to do over there is a freaking hotel binge. She ain't even calling it a hotel night anymore because it's nights on end. And she said, and I saw a podcast, Diddy, about you bragging about having relations for 48 hours straight on a yacht trip to an island near Miami. Hold on a second. I got to see where a certain island is. Hold on. "48 hours straight on an island near Miami." Oh, no. Okay, I just needed to do a little research real quick. Okay. So Jane is like, I saw a podcast about you to Diddy. She says this to him in the text, bragging about having relations for 48 hours straight on a yacht trip to an island near Miami. When did that podcast air? Jane said it was a month after Diddy said he would take me on that yacht trip. So she didn't get to go on the yacht trip. Somebody else went on the yacht trip. And then here's Diddy bragging about going on the yacht trip and having relations. What had Diddy said that he was going to do with you on the yacht trip? She said that after a 2-day hotel night, we would go and do more hotel night activities on the yacht. But we never left. I had to recuperate after the 2-day hotel night, so I didn't even get to go on the yacht. He took a girlfriend there instead. He had said they were going to do the freak off on the yacht trip, but then she said she didn't end up going to the yacht trip. Somebody else went to the yacht trip. But why would she want to go on a yacht trip if it was more? Maybe she didn't want to go. But she was mad because he took somebody else. Like when she wasn't able to do the 48 hours, he took somebody else. It's strange. I'm not sure like why she would be upset about that. Like, didn't she say she was like tired of having hotel nights? I'm confused. Anyway, then there's another tweet. What did you write in your notes app? Okay, so we're getting one of those notes apps that she like maybe didn't ever send to Diddy, but she did type notes like a diary entry. She said, I wrote, I don't want to come to New York to be treated like a ho 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 Merry Christmas. Why did you write that in your notes app? Jane said, because I wasn't sure if I was going to send it to him or not. But did you send a version of this to him? Jane says, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay. And when you sent that to him, what did he reply? He said, oh, that was just podcast talk. Like, he's basically said, oh, I was just lying. So there you go. There's Diddy saying he lies on podcasts. Hold on, I need to adjust my chair. Okay. It was just podcast talk, Diddy said. And then Jane's like, you took her to the Bahamas on a yacht and not me like you promised after the hotel night. Can you read your text? Oh my God, this makes me want to. Okay. So I'm going to try and read these texts. Like, I'm going to go back a couple tweets. I'm going to try to read these as if it's like without the objections, without the, and she said, I'm going to try to make it be like, according to this, what I'm about to quote, just so it's easier to understand. I'm going to go back and forth with some evidence they're going on. Okay. Jane says, I saw a podcast of you bragging about having relations with somebody else who wasn't me for 48 hours straight. And you said it was 48 hours straight on a yacht trip to an island near Miami. And that podcast aired 1 month after you promised, this is Jane, after you promised me you were going to take me on that very same exact yacht trip. You took someone else. You told me, Jane is, I'm just trying to, again, put this all in a context of as if it's a conversation. I'm like paraphrasing. This isn't exactly what was said. I'm putting it together, but like just to give us an idea, give y'all an idea of what's happening here because it was kind of jumping around. So Jane's like, you told me, sir, you were going to take me on a yacht trip that very exact same time to that very exact same place. And you didn't take me because you used me after 2 days in the hotel. I had to recuperate, and it's not bad enough I couldn't go. You took somebody else. And it's not bad enough you took somebody else. But I saw on social media you took somebody else. That's low down. Then she goes and writes in her notes app, I don't want to come to New York to be treated like a H to the garden tool. Oh. Why did you write that? She said, well, I wrote it because I didn't know if I was actually going to send it. But I did end up sending a version of that to Diddy. And I think it was this up here. I'm not coming to New York. You just want me there for a hotel binge, right? So then she says, I'm not coming there. You just want me for a hotel binge. Diddy said, oh, please, that was just podcast talk. But Jane's like, no, you took her to the Bahamas on a yacht, not me. You promised that I would get to go after the hotel night. And then the next question, can you read your text? Jane says, yeah, I can read my text. The text is me quoting him from said podcast. And what does that podcast say? He said it on the podcast. He said, quote, you made Papa proud. Who made Papa proud? The other girl that he brought on the yacht who went for 48 hours. So Diddy went on a podcast, said that he did relations with somebody, I think it might have been Young Miami, for 48 hours straight, and says about that, or to that person, I think it might have been Young Miami, but I don't know for sure, that she like looks and like is like, oh, you made Papa proud. Who's Papa? We already know. Okay, so then you wrote, this is the prosecutor to Jane. She's like, all right, Jane, so then you wrote, I don't want to feel obligated that you will stop paying my rent. Know what I mean? Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I read that wrong. Let me start over. Jane wrote, quote, I don't want to feel obligated that you'll stop paying my rent. End quote. Okay. So then the question is, what did you mean by that? I don't want to feel obligated that you'll stop paying my rent. Jane said the guilt trippy things that he would say that I had to perform. Question, for how long had you felt that? Jane said, since I got home in April 2023. Okay, y'all. We got another breaking news 28 seconds ago, Inner City Press. We got another Sean P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs voice memo being played in the court. Okay. The assistant U.S. attorney says, play this exhibit. Diddy's voice comes across the speakers. Quote, this is a true open relationship. Why do you have to make it a problem? Now I'm sick. Okay, so she's saying, I'm upset. You promised that I could go on the yacht trip. You promised to take me on the yacht trip, even if I, did the hotel night for 2 nights at the hotel. But then you didn't take me on the yacht trip. You took somebody else and then you bragged about it. And it's upsetting to me. And Diddy sends a voice note. This is a true open relationship. Why do you have to make it a problem? Now I'm sick. So that guilt trippy, I see what she means. The evidence is worth 1,000 words. Now I'm sick. Like, wait, she's not allowed to bring up wanting to talk about it or anything like that. It does start to sort of feel like maybe it's not transactional truly, because for something to be a transaction, something to be a contract, a legal fair contract, which I don't think you can have a contract of this sort. So, first out the gate, is that even an allowable enforceable contract? Diddy's lawyers would probably argue no. But if you're going to use a word like transactional, it does imply some type of exchange. Now, if you're doing a transaction, it has to be done in good faith. It has to be fair. A lot of people, I could probably even see where you're coming from. I have an open mind. Maybe I could even agree. Why can't adults enter into a love contract where somebody pays the bills for the one person and the other person performs a certain thing for the other person? I don't know. I really don't I haven't thought about it that much. I haven't thought about that hard. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I don't actually see that. Maybe I'm, whatever. I reserve the right to change my mind. However, if a transaction is not actually fair, or if it's not easy to get out of or renegotiate, then I can start to see some of this coercion, fraud, force. I can start to see some of the dynamics switching. But Diddy is like, look, this is an open relationship, which you knew. This is the voice note. Why do you have to make it a problem? Now I'm sick. Question from the prosecutor. How did you reply to this voice memo or message? Voice message. Maybe it was a voicemail. I'm not exactly sure if it's a voice memo or an actual voicemail. I don't know. Jane said, I responded, call me back. And then we had a FaceTime. He said all the things to calm me down. Okay, that's the most recent tweet. We have 2 new updates from CNN. Okay, this is long right here. 7 minutes ago, Diddy pressured Jane to send bad girl texts. Quote, bad girl texts. She testifies. Jane dated Diddy from 2021 to 2024 and is reading, I don't know if she actually started dating him in 2021. It might have been the very beginning of 2022. But they did, I think, meet in 2021. December. Anyway, she's reading a text. This is 7 minutes ago, CNN.com. She was reading a text thread between her and Diddy from September 15th, 2023, before she went to visit him in New York. Okay, so also just remember, she had said she felt this, I don't want to feel obligated that I have to perform or you're going to stop paying my rent. When did you start feeling that? She said since April 2023. So now over here, CNN.com, we're reading messages from September of that same year. So 6 months later or whatever, 5 months later. And it was text messages before she went to visit him in New York. Diddy told her, quote, send me some beep of you being bad girl. I don't know if it's a bad girl. Y'all can read it. According to this text thread, that's what it said. So Jane said they could watch something when they were together and expressed concern that he was carrying a phone with footage from hotel nights. Okay, so now we're finally getting that part. Remember, there were two kind of issues that I was like, I believe Jane, but I also do think, try to have that lawyer mindset of like, if I'm representing Diddy, where am I going to punch holes in this? And we already know Diddy's attorneys are very aggressive and very going to find any little thing. So two things that I was kind of like, it's going to be harder with this Jane Doe than like each victim witness has presented their own sort of like obstacles and their own strengths of their testimony. And this particular alleged victim witness, Jane Doe, there were two things that I was like, where's the violence, which I do suspect is coming, but I don't know why they would wait so many days with her on the stand to just get that out. I think they should have at least covered some of the violence, because I now was reminded from, I think Tisa tells, that yes, the violence was addressed in the opening statements, but who remembers that? I mean, so much has been a month. So much has happened since then. It's like, I think they could have reminded the jury right out the gate that some of the things were like, what are some of the high points, and then got into this chronological thing. But they didn't. And, I'm not the prosecutor, so who knows? What do I know? Okay. So the second issue that I was like, they don't have this. Jane Doe hadn't yet testified, and look, it's starting to become something she is testifying about. But previously, over the whole entire day and some hours of testimony that Jane Doe has given, they haven't, I think this is her third day of testimony. It was Friday? No, I guess second full day. God, I don't know now. Let me look. Anyway, so the second issue that I was like pointing out with it is that, Cassy and I believe like George Kaplan or David like one of those other assistants have testified about like using the tapes as blackmail materials. Cassy's mom, the whole thing about the extorting the $20,000 from Cassy's mom, allegedly. I mean, that's what they've testified to. This was all how Diddy was like using the tapes against people in like these, kind of like blackmail, like esque, using the tapes as blackmail material, basically. Jane Doe had not testified about that as of yet. And I was like, I wish he didn't do that to anybody, for the record. But it's like, it seems like a pattern. So why didn't he do it to her? Well, look, we're starting to get a peek into that. And we have like a whole nother, basically the whole day, at least today, of testimony. The prosecutors are saying they're going to need most of the day. Might be the whole day. So we're hearing a little bit of it here. Diddy's like, send me stuff of you being a bad girl. Jane was like, we can just watch some stuff when we're actually together. And she then expressed concern that Diddy was carrying a phone with footage from hotel nights because maybe his assistants could have access to those. She also accused Diddy of only wanting those videos of her to use with another woman. Diddy said, quote, just do what I say, please. I'm beep aroused. Stop it. Don't say no to me, please. According to the text read out loud in court. Jane, so Diddy is pressuring her. Is this coercion? Does this rise to the level of coercion? I don't know. But I definitely do see how it is pushy. It's pushy. Just do what I say, please. I'm aroused. I need the video. Don't say no to me, please. I don't like, he's throwing this please in here to make it seem like he's asking nice, but he's also saying, stop it. Don't say no to me. It's not really a request. So I don't know why he's saying please. Anyway, Jane testified that she had Diddy buy a phone just only for their hotel nights because of all Diddy's assistants. Okay, so we're getting peeks into that. She was worried about people finding these. She was worried about these videos getting out. So even though she said, whenever she was asked on the stand, how did you feel about these things being recorded? She said on the stand, it was just part of it. It was just part of the routine. But we are seeing her saying, look, I I didn't know you took that phone with you on the plane. Kind of like, what if the assistants see it? She had also had him buy a phone just for their hotel nights. She also was saying, you're going to show other people this or somehow use it in a freak off or a sexual encounter with somebody else. Here's Diddy. Just do what I say, please. Don't stop it. Don't say no, please. But Jane is like, I had him buy a whole phone separate just for the hotel nights because, oh my God, does the feds have this separate hotel? Do the feds have this separate hotel nights phone? Because all of Diddy's assistants had the security code for his personal phones that he regularly used. Jane testified that she was upset at the time of those text messages because she had just heard Diddy give a podcast interview during which he bragged about how he had relations for 48 hours straight with another woman on a yacht. Jane testified the trip he referenced in the podcast was a yacht excursion that Diddy promised to take her on. And that when he took the other woman on the trip, he downplayed it, claiming that they didn't actually hook up. Yeah, probably didn't. She probably hooked up with somebody else while he watched. Okay, anyway, 14 minutes ago, Jane texted Diddy, I don't want to be used to perform and fulfill your fantasies. In another message to Diddy, Jane said she felt disrespected and she didn't want him to use her for a hotel binge. I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies. She texted him, quote, coming to the realization of what this really is. Diddy responded, I'm tired of your false accusations. The jury saw another note from Jane's notes app that she wrote on that same day. Two new updates from Washington Post. We're back with the black and white motif with Janice. But I like when she wears that hat and that hair. That's good. 17 minutes ago, Janice arrived at the federal courthouse Monday morning, clad in the bold prints she has usually favored during her son's trial. She was accompanied by family friend Charlucci Finney, also a regular presence at the trial. He ain't wearing his free Diddy shirt today, I guess. 4 minutes ago, Washington Post, Wesley Parnell. By September 2023, the relationship between Jane and Diddy had begun to fray. Okay, so by September, remember they broke up that next month, October. And she had been feeling like pressured to do freak-offs since April of that year. In a podcast interview, Diddy had bragged about having relations for 48 hours with another woman, prompting the witness, Jane, to text him. I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies. I'm coming to the realization of what this really is. My heart is really in this, and it is breaking. I don't want to play this role in your life anymore. Despite her doubts, she was still incredibly drawn to Diddy, who repeatedly promised her lavish getaways only to cancel at the last moment for just a freak off. Okay. Okay, so the last tweet in Inner City Press's thread was this. The assistant U.S. attorney said, play this exhibit, and it turned out to be a voice recording of Diddy saying, quote, this is a true open relationship. Why do you have to make it a problem? Now I'm sick. How did you reply to this voice message? Jane said, I said, call me back. Then we had a FaceTime, and then he calmed me down. He said all the things to calm me down. What did you send Diddy from the plane to New York? A photo of my outfit. And where were you planning to wear the outfit? Jane said, to dinner. And what did Diddy send you? He said, we're going to dinner. And did you go to dinner? Jane said, yeah, we went to like a late night lounge thing. Okay. Then they engaged in a little bit of sexual texting. she's assistant U.S. attorney is reading the text messages for Jane so that Jane doesn't have to read it. But Jane apparently wrote, I miss some attributes. And Jane said, yeah. And I wrote, I have my passport with me. Yes, I have my passport with me. And then I wrote, you turn me on so crazy. Can't wait. Okay. So after your flight took off, what happened? Okay. So she's on her way to meet with Diddy or whatever, but they are kind of like esting back and forth, SUL texting, you know. And so she's like, after the flight took off, and you were going to New York, this prosecutor just jumps all over the place. She went from going like very chronologically to now we're on a flight to New York. Now it's on a yacht. Now it's a FaceTime call. Did they FaceTime on the plane? Was Diddy on the plane? Was she on the plane? Who's on the plane? I'm confused. 2-day hotel night. We would go and do more yacht, but we never did. Okay, this is the yacht thing. I wrote, I don't want to come to New York. Okay, I don't want to come to New York and be treated like your hotel girl. But Diddy was like, oh, it was just podcast talk. I didn't even hook up with that girl, which, okay. He promised me to take me on the yacht in the Bahamas, and he just kept me locked in a hotel. You made Papa proud, whatever. And she says, I started feeling obligated to do all this stuff in April 2023. Play this exhibit. This is a true, and Diddy's saying this is a true open relationship. But when, okay, so we're talking about a trip. Okay, we're talking about a trip Jane took to New York to see Diddy in 2023. Okay. Diddy said, send me some stuff of you being bad. Send me what I don't have. She is alarmed that he's traveling with the phones, with the, hotel night phones. So I guess he's just traveling. It doesn't say he's on a plane. Okay. But she later gets on a plane. That's where the confusion is. Okay. She didn't want to come to New York. She didn't want to come to New York because Diddy was basically having relations with other people. She was upset. And Diddy's like, how are you upset about this? I told you it was an open relationship. She did feel obligated to have these hotel nights. We had a FaceTime. He said all the things to calm me down. And then she sent him a photo of her outfit, and he said, we're going to go to dinner tonight. They ended up going to like a late night lounge thing. It wasn't really dinner, but at least it was out in public. Okay. Is that the most recent? Let me refresh. Okay. What did Diddy ask you? Oh, wait. Sorry. I miss hard bleep bleep. Yes, I have my passport with me. You get me so excited. Can't wait, in an SUL way. And then after the flight took off, what happened? She's like, I'm on my flight to New York 2023. And I get a message from Diddy saying, where was Sly? And then he asked, entertainment or movie night? Let me know. I'll get a hotel. How did you react? She said, I felt upset and a little defeated. So what did you send next? I sent, baby, I just got Wi-Fi again. And what did Diddy write? He said, check red phone. So she had another phone, I guess, or he had another phone. He was like, check the other message I sent you. And in that message, he said, I have a surprise for you. Just one. Okay. Okay. All right. Whew. So piecing this together, she, I guess, thought they were just going to be going to dinner and having a one-on-one night with each other, a date night. She had already said, I don't want to come to New York just to be doing the hotel hotel nights. I don't want to do that. He's like, send me pictures. She's like, no, you don't even like me like that. I already know what this is. Obligated. I feel obligated, this, that, the other. And so he calls her, calms her down. She ends up getting calmed down, and he's like, we'll have a night, just us, whatever, whatever. And so she's like, okay, I'm coming. This sounds so familiar to that other story. Is it the same story over again? Is it a different story? She gets on the plane. And this is the second time we're hearing. She gets on a plane to go meet Diddy somewhere, and then she gets a message. She gets on the plane under the promise of, we don't have to do those nights anymore. And again, I don't know if this is the same story or a different story. It's confusing. I'm sure the actual transcripts, if you read them, would be more explanatory, but we don't have those, especially in real time right now. So they are kind of sexting or whatever, but it looks like it's like just between her and him. It doesn't look like she's saying like, I want to, climb a tree and play a leprechaun with 16 people or 3 men in a row or whatever. She's not saying that stuff. She's just kind of saying general, like, you make me excited so crazy, whatever, right? But after the flight took off to New York, she got a message from Diddy saying, entertainment or movie night? Let me know. I'll get a hotel. But she didn't respond to it right away. She kind of acted like she didn't see it or whatever. And she's like, oh, I just got Wi-Fi back. So she was kind of putting off having to having to answer the question. Do you want to do a hotel night tonight? I also think Diddy just don't know what to do with this girl. Like, he's set in his ways of like, that's what we do together. And it's like, I think he probably has some type of addiction to this act, as well as probably the substances they do or used to do during the act, the hotel nights or whatever. So I just think you just don't know what to do if it's not that. So it's like, okay, she's on her way in, like, I need to do this hotel night thing. So I get a message from Diddy when the plane's in the air, like, where is Sly? And like, Diddy would know that the flight had took off. Where is Sly, this entertainer? And he said, entertainment or movie night? Let me know. I'll get a hotel. She didn't respond to it, but she did say that she felt upset and defeated. So when she finally responds, she's like, oh, just got my Wi-Fi back. And Diddy wrote back, check the other phone or check the other message or whatever. And he had said he had a surprise for her. Just one. And what did you take that to mean? Jane said that there would be somebody new, another new freak off participant. And again, remember, y'all, she did not, like the other stories that she had said, I said yes because I just felt like I just had to. I didn't want to make my lover upset. But as she's starting to get more and more aggravated with him, and as he keeps letting her down each and every time, and time again, she is kind of like, just now she's just not answering. She's just saying no, oh, oops, Sky, just got my Wi-Fi. Like, cause she wanted to have a movie night. I'm sure she would have preferred that, but Diddy took it upon himself when she did not answer to schedule a freak off hotel night anyway, because look, he was trying to figure out where is Sly? Cause he was trying to get a hold of Sly. I guess he couldn't find Sly. He's like, you want to do entertainment or movie night? Let me know. And movie night was also watching Korn, by the way, like of them, like together, like they would watch their tapes. Remember, she said they would call it a movie night. So just like, honestly, what is this relationship even? It just turned into just only that at this point. And it's like exhausting. So he had said, there's going to be, I have a surprise for you. And who's it really a surprise for? It's a surprise for him. But she is allowing him to LARP around and play around like this is something she really enjoys. And she does keep doing it. But I do see why, I see where she's coming from. Like, she's like, at this point, it's the only way she can hang out with him. It's the only way she can do anything with him. So it's like, at some point, like, Jane has to take the initiative to say, like, I'm done. But I see where she's coming from with having her rent all intertwined with it. And now she's in this $10,000 a month house. Who wants to move out of that? But that's why you can't make deals with the devil, because you always going to lose. in your pretty house. So, but I'm not victim blaming by any means, and I'm not in her situation, so I'm not judging her by any means. It's really easy for me to sit here and say this stuff I'm saying, totally. However, I do try to keep it as somewhat in the middle, even though I am very biased, like in favor of this Jane Doe and against Diddy. That's why I would not have made a good juror. But that being said, I do try to keep both sides kind of open so that we can still be addressing the stuff that I think maybe is going to come up on cross-examination or whatever. I mean, I can sit here and lie to y'all all day and say, oh my gosh, this is like the perfect testimony, tens across the board, and that would make us feel good for right now. But then whenever he's not convicted, what are we going to do? You know, so I do try to keep it a little bit both sides. But just so you know, like, I believe this Jane Doe, and I actually do totally see, because I have a little background knowledge of like how these relationships kind of work. I do see how this happened. It's not like I don't believe it. I do. But let's see how it keeps going. He said he had a surprise for her. And it's like, I don't want that surprise. What did you take that to mean? That there would be somebody new? Who? Jane said, an entertainer. I hated it. What did Diddy send you? A picture of the man. Ugh, it like makes me feel nauseated. Like, it's like, ugh. A picture of the new man. I rolled my eyes. I wrote back, it's not loading. We are landing now. And what did you send? Diddy. She said, I'd sent him a text suggesting that we go to Casa Cipriani, but I was driven instead to the Trump Hotel. So I put on my outfit. So she wanted to go to Cipriani, Casa, not Cassy, but Casa, is it Cipriani? I don't know what that is. She said, that's where I wanted to go to eat dinner because he told me that I was having dinner, but I was driven instead to the Trump Hotel. So I put on my outfit to go to dinner. And then what happened that night? Diddy was late. We went to that lounge. We bickered a little bit. He was defensive. But we went to the room and then Sly came. Oh my God. What did you text Sly? I asked him if he could come to New York. Why? It's like Diddy does pick fights though. Like, he picks fights knowing that like Jane's kind of like natural response is going to be to like set the freak off up. Like, he's picking fights at dinner. He's like, I took you to dinner. Makes her, guilt trips her, makes her feel bad about it. Probably reminds her that it's her job or whatever. And then, but then she even admits it on the stand. She goes out of her way to voluntarily text Sly. But I do see how it's probably because Diddy's like literally picking fights over it. But the defense is going to tear this apart. They are. This is like the second, third, fourth, fifth time where it's like, okay, he was upset at me, so I scheduled a freak off. And it's like, okay, I do see why and stuff, but like at some point, the defense is just going to like absolutely annihilate this. We went to that lounge, we bickered. He was defensive. But then we went to the room and Sly came. What did you text to Sly? I asked if he could come to New York. I felt I needed to make it up to Sean. Oh, man, poor girl, my Lord. Okay. Did he come to the Trump Hotel? And did he have relations with you in front of Diddy? Yes. Okay. After that New York trip, where did you next see Diddy? Okay, so now 2023 New York trip is over. We're moving on to the next time she saw Diddy in Miami at a hotel. That's the next time. Miami, also at a hotel. Did you two take these pictures? Yes, we did. And the pictures are not shown in the public gallery because it would, I guess, reveal Jane Doe's identity. We had Sly in Miami again as well. Okay, so it was New York 2023, Sly came. So again, y'all, There's multiple charges on Diddy that he's facing. One of them is very simple, and it doesn't require coercion and it doesn't require force. It is the interstate, cross state lines, transportation, or the facilitating of the transportation of other human beings for the purposes of a commercial S act. I think that one's been knocked out of the park with this witness alone. It doesn't require coercion. It doesn't require force. It doesn't require kidnap. It doesn't require fraud. It could be voluntary. Everybody could be coming for the same. Everybody could be coming with full intent and full consent. And it's still a crime. Okay. So I think, in my personal opinion, I don't know. I'm not an expert. I think they've knocked that one out of the park with this witness alone. So they had Sly, the same guy, come to New York in 2023. And then later, Miami, the very next time they saw each other in, I don't know what year, in Miami. And then Jane says, and then we went back to LA and we had an argument. Sorry, I got to find my spot. Then we went back to LA and we had an argument there. Why? Because he wanted to set up a party. He wanted me to reach out to entertainers. But I noticed something online, and it was that he was with an ex-girlfriend of his, and I was furious. Okay, so New York, she didn't want to have a FO. He told her they didn't have to have a FO. In the air, he wants to have a FO and all that. Okay, this is New York. Sly comes. Next time she hangs out with Diddy, they have another FO, another freak off, another hotel night. This time it's in Miami, a different state. And Sly as well. Same worker, same entertainer. But then they get back to LA. And Jane and Diddy have an argument because he wanted to set up a, quote, party. He wanted me to reach out to entertainers. I noticed something online. He was with an ex-girlfriend of his, and I was furious. Question, did you ever speak with any of these other women? No. I found out on social media, on Instagram. Okay, these text messages, this is when they broke up. October 2023, if I remember correctly. That's when they broke up. Okay, the prosecutor says, these text messages, October 15th, 2023, please read what you wrote. She says, I text, you got that girl next to you. Her BS is already starting. What was that supposed to mean? The prosecutor asked. Jane Doe said drama. It's just drama. Okay. But she texted Diddy. She sees him with another girl on Instagram, October 15th, 2023. She says, you got that girl next to you. Her BS is already starting, meaning the drama. I told Jane Doe says, then I told Diddy introduce her to P. Who? Paul, one of the entertainers. Then I wrote, I'm not a P star. These experiences are desensitizing, sex for me. And here, okay, so this is something that I've discussed in my previous live coverage of this trial, that it does start to desensitize people. And there's a whole entire worldwide pandemic of desensitization for young men going on because of the access that they have to depraved and deranged pornographic materials at a very, very young age. Worldwide problem. Girls, all the genders. But yeah, okay. So I wrote, I'm not a star. I'm not a corn star. These experiences are desensitizing sex for me. Okay, and then the very next day, there's another text, right? Here's October 15th. October 16th. The same fight. They're having the same fight. Please read these. Jane Doe said, I don't want to be relations in these rooms. I felt there was more pressure on me than the others. There was like an imbalance. I had to earn basic things for my romance, love and romance, and he was just freely giving it to others. He was clearly capable. of it, but he just wasn't doing it to me. And so I started to feel like an undue burden. I wrote, oh my God. She said, I wrote, it's been 3 years of me having to relation with strangers. And he wrote, what? So we're breaking up? Is that what you were proposing, Jane? Said the prosecutor. Jane said, no. I wrote, I need a break spiritually. And she starts sobbing. And it does feel like that. Like it's like just this emotional, spiritual thing. It's like the act of like doing that with somebody is like very intimate. And it does, I'm sure, not that I would know firsthand, but I can imagine it was a desensitizing experience of something that's supposed to be, I think, supposed to be very, intimate and personal with somebody you at least freaking know, much less like, much less love. Anyway, she's like, it's been 3 years of me having to beep strangers. He wrote, so we're breaking up? It's almost like he's just been waiting to break up. He's like, I'm going to get as many freak offs out of this girl as I can, and then we're just going to break up. Is that what you were proposing? Jane said, no. But I wrote, I need a break spiritually. And what did you write next? Jane said, I wrote, this act is sacred to me. Good. I'm glad she's finally like realizing and putting her foot down. Like, cause it is like a little by little by little by little by little. Like you have to like, finally at some point, everybody has in a situation such as this has to put their foot down. And she is. She's saying, no, I need a break spiritually. It's been 3 years of me having to do this stuff with strangers. And this is like supposed to be some sacred thing. Like it is sacred to me. So I'm not doing this no more. She wrote, you always push me to do more and more. I said, I need time to myself. I said, Your Honor, may we have a sidebar? Diddy's lawyer says. So she's in the middle of reading through her text messages. And Diddy's lawyers are interrupting her, wanting a sidebar. There's 4 new updates on CNN. Okay, let's start with this one. It's kind of long. 17 minutes ago, Diddy arranged a hotel night in New York after saying he wouldn't. Jane testifies. Okay, good. So these other sources, thankfully, which I hoped, are going to fill in some of the context that we kind of missed on the different New York trip, Miami, this, that, and all that. Okay. 18 minutes ago, CNN.com. Jane is continuing to testify about a series of communications she had with Diddy before she visited him in New York in 2023. So I think it was October 2023 they broke up. It was April 2023 she started to feel obligated to perform S work for her rent to get paid. And I'm sure, if I had to guess, I don't know, I wasn't there, I'm not inside his head, but I'm sure Diddy was actually doing that, like paying her rent or $10,000 or whatever to rent for the S acts. I'm sure in his mind, and he didn't think nothing was wrong with that. He said, you're not my girlfriend, or you're not exclusive. I have other girlfriends I do other stuff with. So, here's your $10,000, do your job. I'm on mine. So that started, the pressure, she said, started in April 2023. But then October, they end up, I guess breaking up, I think. Okay, so let's read through this. Jane's continuing to testify about a series of communications she had with Diddy before she visited him in New York sometime in 2023. And remember, they had another FO after that in Miami with the same guy, Sly from Atlanta. She says she felt disrespected and told Diddy she didn't want him to use her for a hotel binge anymore. Diddy sent her a voice message telling her how sick he was and that nothing she was saying made sense, she testified. Diddy didn't acknowledge her comment about feeling obligated to perform at hotel nights. Or freak offs, is the other way that that's characterized. They then got on a FaceTime call after that, and Diddy calmed her down and said, everything she wanted to hear, she testified. He promised that they would have a, quote, proper New York trip with dinners and shopping, and he did not mention a hotel night. Jane went to New York September 17th, 2023, because she didn't think there would be a hotel night, she testified. But once she got on the plane, Diddy sent her messages about a hotel night. Quote, this is a quote from her. Quote, I just remember just taking a deep breath and just feeling upset and a little disappointed, a little defeated, Jane testified. In responding to his messages, Jane says she tried to, quote, brush away his questions about a hotel night. Quote, okay, I have a surprise if that's okay. Just one, Diddy responded. Jane testified that meant Diddy was introducing her or going to be introducing her to a new entertainer for a hotel night. She said she hated it. It wasn't a good surprise. More like a prank. Once she was in New York City, she said she and Diddy went to a lounge. We bickered a bit, and I was kind of showing discomfort about these nights and how it's just being sprung on me. And she said Diddy was being defensive. He probably was like, I'm scheduling a surprise for you and I have to do all the work. And you're not even grateful. And I pay your rent. I don't know. I wasn't there. On the way back to the hotel, she took a substance. That's more context that we didn't previously have. She took an EX. And then when she was back in the hotel room and lingerie, then she was back in the hotel room in lingerie and, quote, this new surprise was coming. She describes organizing another hotel night for Diddy 15 minutes ago, CNN.com. Jane testified that Diddy, again, the surprise entertainer didn't go well. So is this the same story or is this now the third story of how like Diddy arranged somebody to come and they were sweating and stinking and nasty and it didn't go well. So they left or they couldn't get it, on and popping because Diddy was sitting right there or whatever. I don't know. We're reading from the different sources. Hopefully we'll be able to piece together more context and more details. Jane testified that Diddy's surprise entertainer didn't go well, so she felt like she had to make it up to him. She contacted another entertainer and she contacted another entertainer they had called for previous hotel nights. That was Sly. The jury saw text messages between Jane and Sly in which Jane told him that she was sorting out his cash payment. Again, doesn't have to be coercion for the transportation of somebody across state lines for a commercial purpose. And what's the commercial purpose? I mean, look, paying this guy. In another text, she told him that there would be an envelope with cash left at the front desk of the Trump International Hotel. Jane testified she got the cash from Diddy. So this must be the same New York trip we already heard about. That same entertainer, this is 13 minutes ago, CNN.com. The same entertainer joined Diddy and Jane in Miami after the New York encounter, says Jane. A few days after the September 2023 New York City hotel night trip, so a few days later, Jane next saw Diddy in Miami. On the Miami trip, Diddy wanted to watch footage from the New York trip. Okay, so that's some more new details. A few days after that New York trip that she didn't even want to go on, remember, she was like, I don't want to come to New York just to be your locked in a room and doing these nights and all that. And then little by little, he kind of like lures her, breadcrumbs her back into doing it again. So a few days after that in New York, they back at it again in Miami. But on this trip, Diddy wanted to watch footage from the New York trip. Diddy said he wanted a part 2. So they had the entertainer who was with them in New York join them in Miami on that trip as well. This is 2023, September 2023. And then they end up breaking up in October, if I recall correctly. 10 minutes ago, CNN.com, Diddy asked Jane for a hotel night while he was with another woman. Oh, God. In October 2023, Jane and Diddy were discussing Diddy's request for her to arrange a party. So not just a hotel night, but a party, one of those all-star parties. He wanted the all-star lineup. Diddy wanted her to arrange a party with entertainers or men paid to have relations with her. At the same time, Jane said she saw one of Diddy's ex-girlfriends posting with Diddy on her social media. Jane testified that she was furious that he was asking for a hotel night from Jane while he was actively with another woman at the same time. Jane texted to Diddy, quote, "You got that girl next to you, so figure it out." Diddy responded, quote, oh my God, quote, "You're the only thing that's going to put me at peace, please." I guess at peace. "Please, you're the only thing that's going to put me at peace," he texted to Jane. Jane responded, "Introduce her to Paul. It's not me. It's the entertainment that puts you at peace." That could be taken more than one way. Introduce your other little girlfriend to Paul the entertainer. "It's not me that puts you at peace," Jane said to Sean, P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs. She said, "It's not me that puts you at peace." Jane testified P was the entertainer named Paul. "It's not me that puts you at peace. What is it? It's the entertainment, sicko." We have another new update 4 minutes ago, CNN.com. Quote, "I'm not a beep star. I'm not an animal." Wow. That's heavy. And here's the thing, y'all. Even if it ends up being, okay, this is just domestic violence, like this is dark. This is dark. Can we agree? Even if it's not a crime, it's dark and it's got like an icky kind of feeling about it. It's consenting adults. Sure. Consenting adults do some nasty stuff sometimes. And it's like, maybe it's consenting, maybe it's not. That's up for the jury to decide. But this is just striking evidence. Quote, "I'm not a beep star. I'm not an animal," Jane wrote to Diddy in a request for a break. In later messages from the same October 2023 back and forth fight, if you want to call it, Jane wrote, quote, "Our experiences are desensitizing for me." She said she didn't want to be mistreated, according to testimony in court. Quote, "I don't feel like performing loveless, cold sex," she wrote. She was frustrated at the time because she felt like Diddy treated her differently than he treated others. She testified, quote, "I had to earn just basic things from my relationship, like love and respect and romance. But I felt like he was just giving it out to everyone else. I'm not a corn star. I'm not an animal. I need a break. And I don't want to do anything. I've hit a wall," she wrote in the messages. She testified the request for a break referred to not wanting to. Okay, so when asked, she testified that her request for a break referred to her not wanting to give her body to anyone else at all. She finally reached that point. She was just like, I'm just done. I don't, and you do have to reach that point. She needed to, because until like she reached that point, that's the first step of just no more, saying no more. "I'm not a corn star. I'm not an animal. I need a break. I don't want to do anything. I've hit a wall. I'm not." And when she was asked to explain further what that meant, she said, "I didn't want to give my body to anyone else at all." Diddy responded in the messages, "I'll only make love to you." That's a quote. Jane wrote back that she's had to have relations with strangers for 3 years. She said, "I'm tired. So we're breaking up," Diddy wrote. And this is like, okay, it's like you can't bring nothing up to him without him being like, girl, stop, or what? So we broke up. Okay, fine, let's just be friends. It's like you can't even bring anything up without it going all the way to the extreme. Jane testified that she had not suggested they break up in her messages. She only told him she wanted to stop doing the hotel nights. And that's the thing, like it starts to look like Diddy's relationship with her was hotel nights. Like there's really no denying that. Let's see if Washington Post has anything new. They have 2 new updates. Wesley Parnell, 21 minutes ago. There's a pattern emerging in the relationship between Jane and Diddy. The producer who met the single mother in Miami lured her. Okay. Oh, Diddy. Sometimes they like get a little out of hand with all the like producer, the rapper, the such and such singer. It's like, girl, just say Diddy. Lured her into his world with the promise of extravagant trips. Jane was instantly transfixed by his wealth and charismatic personality, but as Jane grew more attached, Diddy's sincerity waned. He would offer her exotic getaways only to book a hotel for a freak off or a hotel night. We're now looking at text messages from 2023 in which Diddy suggested she bring a passport to come visit him in New York. But when she arrived, there was no international excursion, just a red hotel room waiting for her. Quote, then I was back in the hotel room, back in lingerie, heels, and a robe. She testified, I felt like I had to perform. 3 minutes ago, Ann Brannigan, Washington Post, I'm not an animal, says Jane in her text to Diddy. And I can understand why that's like a headline making quote, because I had to even stop and collect myself. Like, she's really reaching the realization of like, dang, like, okay, this is not cool. I see what's going on. And she continuously does make that realization, but then he's able to kind of calm her down. He's able to kind of confuse her, and she accepts it or whatever and goes back. But she's like, this right here, I'm not an animal. The text messages Jane is reading aloud show her awareness of the dynamics in her relationship to Diddy in 2023. In October of that year, Diddy reached out to Jane to set up a party, meaning a hotel night, the texts say. Jane said she was furious, especially because she had seen on Instagram that he was hanging out with an ex-girlfriend. Diddy pleaded, saying that she was his piece. It's not me, quote, it's the entertainment that puts you at peace. Jane responded in a text. By entertainment, Jane meant the hotel nights. I'm not an animal. I'm not a corn star, she continued, growing emotional as she read the texts on the stand. It's been 3 years of me having to beep strangers. Let's go back to Inner City Press. Surely they're not still at this sidebar. They are. This is a long sidebar. Let's go to NBC. I guess we'll just start from when the court started, like court is in session, because they've been at a sidebar for how long? Let me refresh one more time, Inner City Press. 18 minutes. And this is after they already had a 20-minute kiki in the back robing room this morning, running in and out with the who knows what was said in there and if we ever going to find out. But okay, so let's start here on NBC News from court is now in session, kicking off day 19 of Diddy's trial. Diddy is wearing khaki pants and a white long sleeve shirt today. Upon entering the courtroom, he looked through some papers in a folder and then he sat down at the defense table. 1 hour ago, Jane is back on the witness stand. The witness returned to the stand this morning wearing a white jacket as lead prosecutor Maureen Comey continued the government's direct examination. Jane was worried about Diddy using his phone for sex videos. Yes, that's something that, we noticed and pointed out here as well. NBCnews.com said the witness said she was concerned about Diddy taking explicit videos of her, on his primary 2 cell phones because others on his team knew the security codes, the passcodes to get into the devices. She testified that she asked him to make sure to lock his phone. That was a new detail we just got. Diddy took another woman on a yacht trip 56 minutes ago. He had promised Jane this yacht trip. Jane testified that Diddy had promised to take her on a yacht trip after a hotel night. She then noticed on social media that Diddy had gone on a yacht trip without her and instead went with somebody else. She said she voiced her frustrations and Diddy was dismissive. They later met at a hotel and he tried to calm her down. Well, is it at a hotel or was it FaceTime? Claimed there was no relations, but on a podcast, he allegedly boasted about the trip and how much relations he had with that other woman. Jane texted Diddy she didn't want to be used and locked in a room. The court was shown text messages Jane sent to Diddy after being upset that he apparently lied to her about going on a yacht trip. She texted Diddy in 2023 around the fall time that she didn't want to be, quote, used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill Diddy's fantasies. On the same day, she wrote that she didn't want to fly to New York and be a beep for the millionth time. Oh, that's a new quote. I don't want to fly to New York to be a beep for the millionth time in a hotel room. 51 minutes ago, Jane felt like she had to perform for the rent. With Diddy paying her rent, Jane said there was a sense of obligation to perform regular acts for Diddy. She felt guilt-trippy things associated with living under the roof paid for by Diddy. The arrangement made her feel like she had to perform relations for housing. And I think that was the arrangement, right? Like, I don't know. They didn't put it in writing, so who knows what it was. A text message she sent to Diddy was shown in court in which she wrote, "I'm doing things that make me feel disgusting with myself." Disgusting, or was it disgusted? I don't know. But this is purportedly a quote, NBCnews.com. A text message that she sent to Diddy was shown in court that says, quote, "I'm doing things that make me feel disgusting with myself." 16 minutes ago, Jane said she had to have relations with cowboy wearing heels. Hold on. This is a new detail. Cowboy wearing heels. She said she was growing tired of having relations with strangers at Combs' behest. In a 2023 incident with a cowboy wearing heels, what was particularly upsetting? Her voice cracked with emotion, explaining how she thought she was going to have private time with Diddy for dinner and shopping, but was instead directed to meet Diddy at the Trump International Hotel. "He gave me EX," she recalled. "I was in lingerie and this new surprise was coming. The man came and then Cabral came." They're telling so many stories and so many people. I don't know who's what. Is it Cabral? Is it Sly? Is it the same person? I don't know. "I was in lingerie. This new surprise was coming. The man came and then Cabral came. She and the male S worker had relations in front of Diddy, according to Jane's testimony, and he was paid in cash, according to Jane's testimony." 11 minutes ago, Jane said she told Diddy, "I'm not a corn star." By October 2023, Jane said that she had reached a boiling point with Diddy's demands for her SUL performances. Diddy had texted Jane to say he was missing her, and Jane interpreted that as his next request for her to have relations with a stranger. "I said, call someone else. I'm not a corn star." And she testified, quote, "That is exactly how I felt." Jane, 10 minutes ago, NBCnews.com, says she and Diddy got into a fight over arranging another sex party. Jane testified that she and Diddy got into an argument after he asked her to set up another hotel night, but he was spending time with another woman at that very moment. She told the court that Diddy texted her because he wanted her to reach out to men to set up another hotel night party while they were in LA. But Jane noticed an online chatter that he was with another woman, which set off an argument. Texts between them dated October 15th, 2023, show that Diddy insisted that Jane not say no to him. "Don't say no to me. Stop it. Do not say no to me, please." She responded that he made it very clear what he wanted from her. 11 minutes ago, Jane tearfully recalls telling Diddy she wanted to stop having relations with other men. She testified that she grew frustrated with the pressure on her to earn the most basic things from Diddy, such as love and respect. She told the court that Diddy seemed to give his love and respect freely to other people, but for her, it felt impossible. Jane said that she spoke to Diddy about not wanting to have relations with other men anymore, telling him that she wanted to make him happy, but that it was creating a war inside of her. Diddy told her that's not what he wanted from her. Jane said she responded she just needed a break. She put her head down during this testimony and wiped away tears shortly before the court went on a break. Okay, so maybe that sidebar just turned into a break. Let's go to the Independent, or CNN actually has 2 new updates. Let's read those. Okay, they were on a break. 6 minutes ago, the judge is on a short break. The jury, excuse me. CNN.com from Allie Rosenblum. The jury was taking a short break. Here's what happened in the court this morning. Jane, one of Diddy's accusers, continued her direct examination. "Don't say no to me," she read aloud text exchanges from 2023 in which Diddy pressured her to send him bad girl texts. Instead, Jane expressed concern that Diddy was carrying a phone containing footage of their hotel nights together. She expressed feeling obligated. She testified that she was also frustrated because she believed Diddy was seeing other women while still planning hotel nights with her. She was like, I just have to earn like basic stuff, and these other people do not. 1 minute ago, judge and jury return after a short break. The jury is returning. Jane, who dated Diddy from 2021 to 2024, is back on the stand. Okay. We're back with Inner City Press. Shout out to him. He says during a long break, Diddy is standing talking with his attorney, Xavier Donaldson. The judge says at 10:48 a.m., please be seated. This is about 8 minutes ago. The judge tells everybody, please be seated. Miss Comey, please bring Jane back in. Jane walks up, back Combs' table, and he passes a note to his lawyer, Alexandra Shapiro. Okay, so Jane walks back in and Diddy is passing notes to his lawyer, which is allowed. First question back from the break. What did Diddy write to you? He wrote, I want to spend the day with you. And I wrote back, you make it crystal clear exactly what you want me for. You're going to spend the day love bombing me? What did you mean love bomb? Jane said, oh, Sean is very love bomby. Okay, that's the most recent. Let's see, go back to NBC. We're caught up with NBC. Okay, Independent. We'll start an hour ago. Jane takes the stand. An hour ago, Jane recalls, this is the Independent. Jane recalls Diddy bragging about sexual relations on a podcast. Prosecutors kick off their questioning by showing Jane texts she sent to Diddy during their relationship. In one message, Jane wrote to Diddy that she didn't want to come to New York because he just wanted to do a hotel night. She testified that she texted him after listening to him brag about having relations for 48 hours on a podcast. So she hits him up. She's like, I don't even want to see you now, liar. She told Diddy she didn't want to be locked in a room to perform. She told Diddy she didn't want to do hotel nights, which involved having relations with other men at his direction, according to text messages read out loud in court. I don't want to be used and locked in a room to perform and fulfill your fantasies. And then Diddy says, I'm tired of your false accusations. Jane also testified she was concerned about Diddy using his devices to record hotel nights because some of his staff knew the passwords. 33 minutes ago, Diddy set up the hotel night. And I'm actually glad we're reading back through these over and over because it's kind of helping me to piece together these different distinct incidents because it kind of all starts to feel a little bit like a blur. I'm definitely going to need that prosecution Excel spreadsheet they're putting together. Diddy set up hotel night after he promised not to. Jane testifies. She testified that her then boyfriend, Diddy, arranged a hotel night for them during a trip to New York, despite promising he wasn't going to do that. Hotel nights involved her having relations with other men at Diddy's direction, she previously testified. Oh, excuse me. These could last for several hours, with one session lasting more than 3 days, no break for 3 days. Whoa. I just remember taking a deep breath and just feeling upset and a little disappointed and a little defeated, she told the jury. 18 minutes ago, Jane told Diddy she's not a corn star in a request to end hotel nights. She asked for a break from hotel nights in a text to Diddy around October 2023. Our experiences, she says, are desensitizing, S-E-X, for me. I'm not a corn star. I'm not an animal. I need a break. I don't want to do anything. I've hit a wall. So we're breaking up, Diddy said. Jane testified she didn't want to break up. She just wanted to stop doing hotel nights. 8 minutes ago, The Independent, Jane gives emotional testimony about New York City hotel night. She began tearing up as she described one particular hotel night in New York City. Jane said Diddy was planning on introducing her to someone new on this trip. Remember, he was like, I got a surprise for you. The encounter didn't go well, she testified. Afterwards, she invited Cabral Williams, an entertainer who went by Sly. Okay, so Sly is Cabral. Okay, good to know. That makes that story be one. Good. Jane testified she booked Williams' flight. That's a new detail we're getting. She's the one that booked Sly, aka ATL, aka Cabral's flight. She booked it from Atlanta. Again, interstate transportation. And Diddy reimbursed her. Commercial purpose. They also paid this Sly/Cabral in cash, apparently. Diddy later paid him after he and Jane had relations. Okay. Let's go back to Inner City Press and see what he is saying. Okay. Wow. Okay. Ooh, okay. The last text or the last tweet in this text message, thread from Inner City Press is, what did Diddy write to you? He wrote, I want to spend the day with you. But then Jane's like, I wrote back, you make it crystal clear exactly what you want me for. Now you're going to spend the day love bombing me? No, miss me with it. What did you mean by that, Jane? Jane said, Diddy is very love bomby. Jane goes, I said, I'm not just an animal people can beep on. Okay. Why does she keep saying animal? Because I don't think people should be doing that to animals either. I think that's a crime. But I think I know what she means. Like, I'm a human being. Like, I'm a like, what are you doing? Maybe she should have had a toy or something. It's like animal, but like it gives you a sense of what she felt like she was being treated like an animal that he owned instead of a human. I think. I don't know. That's how I perceive and read it. She said, don't love bomb me all day. I'm not just an animal people can beep on. And he responded, you're crazy. How often did he call you crazy? Jane said, often. I said, you want me to blank somebody's blank so you can jet off with Gina? I said, I'm drained. And then Diddy responds, oh, okay, I'll leave you alone then. Thank you. Leave me alone. Bye. In the next message, does he use your true name? Yes. And does he say that's my house too? Yes, he does. He wrote, I'm coming over. You going to let me in or not? Is your baby there? Are you going to let me in your house? Are you going to let me in your house? Are you going to let me in your house? Are you going to let me in your house? Again and again and again, like a toddler. Is your baby there? He used her true name in the next one. Because remember, they were calling each other Bert and Ernie and every other thing else. Now he wants to come over there and save face and, whatever. But she's like done. She's freaking done with him. I think it's about to hit the crescendo, y'all. I think we're about to get that violence in this story we're about to get when he comes over to the house. Because it was mentioned in the opening statement that he was violent with her. I think. I said, I'm not just an animal that people can beep on. And he said, you're crazy. How often would he call you crazy? Often. I said, you want to have me blank somebody's blank so you could just jet off with Gina. No, I'm done. No, I'm drained. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll leave you alone then. But then in the next message, the very next message, he uses her true name, addresses her by her full true name, not no Bert, not no Ernie, not no Schnookum, not no crazy. Hold on, gotta do some AstroTurf management. Okay. You can get a good idea of what Diddy's lawyers are going to argue by looking at the AstroTurf bots, because a lot of them will put these really nuanced, sophisticated legal arguments out there. And it's like, boom, next day there's Diddy's lawyers arguing it. Okay. Or not next day, but you know what I mean? Like eventually. So exactly, Amber Woods. Amber Woods, like, and this could be an AstroTurf. They got the AI picture, but I don't know, maybe not. Amber Woods said, remember how he said he was going to leave her alone? Now he's claiming the place she lives in is his own because he pays for it, and she expressed she isn't interested in FOs. This is that control. I see what you're saying. I do see what you're saying, Amber. Because she's like, I'm done. I'm drained. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll leave you alone. Then what's the very next message? He uses your true name, her true name, and says, that's my house too. And he wrote, I'm coming over. You going to let me in or not? Is your baby there? You going to let me in? Are you going to let me in our house? Are you going to let me in our house? Are you going to let me in our house? Like reminding her over and over repeatedly. Repetition is a tool these narcs are wont to use, in my opinion, which is not an expert in any way. Diddy wrote to Jane, right? She's like, I'm done. I'm not just an animal. He's like, I'm so stressed. I'm aroused, shaking my head. What does SMH mean? Shaking my head. He said his knees weren't good. He said his knees weren't good. I said, I'll hit up my mom. She said taking bone supplements is key. And then you saw Diddy? Yes. So he's trying to change the subject and act like he needs her help. Please, my knees. I'm so stressed. I'm so aroused. Please, you're the only one that brings me peace. Shut up. Ugh. Okay. New update from CNN. 2 minutes ago, love bombing would start whenever Diddy wanted one of those nights, Jane testified. After the short break, Jane resumed testifying about the text conversation between her and Diddy on October 16th, 2023. Spend the day with your family or Gina. I need time to myself, Jane wrote. Good. According to messages read out loud in court, Gina is another woman Diddy had a relationship with. Quote, no, I want to see you. We don't have to have relations. I just want to spend the day with you, please. Diddy responded, according to the reading out loud in court. You beat the love out of us. You made it crystal clear exactly what you want me for. You're going to spend the day, what? Love bombing me so you can get what you want? It's not genuine. I've hit a mental and spiritual wall, Jane wrote in the messages. She testified, quote, she testified today. Whenever he wanted me, or one of these nights, the love bombing or the persistency would start. Jane, less than a minute ago, CNN.com, Jane says she stopped answering Diddy's calls after they fought. The fight carried into the next day. She said that she told Diddy she needed space and stopped answering his calls. Diddy left her an audio message saying, quote, "You know I wouldn't be calling you like this. I need you, girl." Then later that day, Diddy said, "Can I please come over there? That's my house too." Jane said Diddy was referring to the house she was living in, where Diddy was paying the rent. And remember, we'd learned exclusively through Rabbit, and then other people did talk about it, the way the rent was getting paid, at least in the beginning with the emails with the landlord, was Robin Greenhill, Diddy's accountant. So she's ignoring. She ghosts. She said, "Leave me alone. I told you I need space. I told you I need a break. Now leave me alone." But he wouldn't. He's like, "Okay, I'm leaving you alone then." And then he just doesn't. He's calling and calling and calling. "You know I wouldn't be calling you like this. I need you, girl." Then later, "Can I please come over?" See, he always puts please in a message where he's really not really asking. He's really telling. He's demanding. It's not a question. But he says please to make it kind of look like maybe it's a question, like maybe like he's being nice. "Please. Can I please come over there?" That would be fine. Until this, and it feels like a little bit of like pressure at least, but could be coercion. "That's my house too." Jane said Diddy was referring to the house she was living in, where he was paying the rent. Jane testified that she was shutting him out by not answering his messages or calls because every time she let him in, she said, quote, "I'd be right back into whatever he wanted." And we know what he wanted. Got 2 new updates from NBC. News.com. Jane says Diddy would love bomb her whenever he wanted a hotel night. When Jane began to distance herself from Diddy via texts in October 2023, he wrote back that he wanted to see her and that they didn't have to have relations, according to messages shown in court. But Jane called out Diddy in her response, writing that she knew he was going to spend the day love bombing her, but that she has hit a wall. When asked by the prosecutors to explain what is love bombing or what she meant by that, Jane testified that Diddy would shower her with love and affection to an overwhelming point. In an article from the Cleveland Clinic explains love bombing as a form of psychological and emotional abuse and is used as a manipulation tactic. It was a pattern from Diddy whenever he wanted to have a hotel night, Jane told the court. 4 minutes ago, Jane said she told Diddy she was tired of being treated like an animal. By October 2023, Jane said that she had become more vocal about her disdain for having to perform sexual acts with strangers at Diddy's behest. Jane testified that she told the defendant, Diddy, quote, "You treat me like an animal." The witness said she needed a break from Diddy. And we get a new quote here. She was tired of having to, quote, "do all the dirty deep for him." She was tired of the dirty stuff. She was just tired of it and she needed a break, she said. We have 2 new updates from the Washington Post. Oh, this is interesting. 3 new updates. 27 minutes ago, Ann Brannigan from the Washington Post said during that sidebar, Diddy, wearing a light sweater and a white collared shirt, could be seen waving his hands emphatically as he conferred with his lawyers. Jane kept her eyes down as she waited for court to resume. After the sidebar, the judge called for a mid-morning break. The judge has not addressed the court. He's not really addressed the gallery of the court much today, which is unusual. 8 minutes ago, WashingtonPost.com, Wesley Parnell, substances and freak-offs consumed Jane's life, she says. When Jane first met Diddy in 2020, she was reluctant to take substances. Nearly 3 years later, she was flying with substances for Diddy, booking escorts for him and sleeping with them at his behest, she said. This is a key evolution for prosecutors, according to the Washington Post. On a trip to Miami in 2023, Diddy asked Jane to plan a party and invite entertainers, even though she was upset that he was spending time with another woman, Jane said. The prosecutor, Maureen Comey, is painting a relationship in which Jane, who is testifying under pseudonym, felt obligated to do what Diddy said, even against her will. She did not want to have freak-offs during this 2023. She did not want to have a freak-off during the 2023 New York trip, she testified. But Diddy handed her a pill, implying what was to come. It's been 3 years of me having to beep strangers. I'm tired, said Jane, reading a text message she said she sent to Diddy after the New York trip. So it was after that trip. I just wanted to make you happy, but it's creating a war inside of me. 6 minutes ago, quote, "You're crazy," Diddy would often tell Jane when she tried to share her concerns about the hotel nights or freak-offs. She recounted on the stand Monday morning. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey asked Jane how often Diddy would call her crazy. Quote, "Very often," Jane said. "If I would voice my frustrations about these hotel nights, he would call me crazy very often." Let's go back to Inner City Press. Okay. So where we left off on the Inner City Press thread, it was Diddy had told her, "Okay, I'll leave you alone." Remember, she was like, "I'm not an animal." Then he called her crazy, which he did very often. She said, you want me to blank somebody's blank so you can jet off with Gina. I'm drained. I'll leave you alone," he said, but he didn't leave her alone. He used her true name and said, "That's my house. I'm coming over. Are you going to let me in our house? Are you going to let me in our house?" And then she ignores him, I guess, still. And Diddy's like, "I'm so stressed. I'm so, aroused," shaking my head. He said his knees weren't good. She's like, "I told him I would hit my mom up. My mom said, just take your bone supplements, Paw." We had a sobriety party. The sobriety party. So now we end up doing the thing where it's like, remember whenever she was like October 2023, she like wanted him to get sober. She wanted him to stop doing substances. And then that was the time where she was going to try to get through the freak off without doing the substances. And he called it a sobriety party. So we're back to that part of the story here. She said, "First we went to a concert. I stood with his security. With his security, Jonathan, I went to the store for supplies for the hotel night." All right. Jonathan's getting called. Diddy was in the hotel waiting. Okay. So we had a sobriety party. Remember that one that they were talking about, the sobriety party at the hotel? The sobriety party was actually just a night of doing a lot of substances. And then Jane was going to try to do it without the substances, but then she couldn't. So then she took one and then all that. I don't know if that's the same time where she was throwing up or whatever, but they had decided to have it. And then the hotel had to be set up. So first they went to a concert. And Jane said I don't know if it was a Diddy concert or what, but Jane said that she stood with Diddy's security. Jonathan went to the store for supplies for the hotel night together with Jonathan, the security guard. And Diddy was waiting for them at the hotel. And he was, of course, impatient. And he called and said, "B word, what the F is taking so long?" Jane said, "I got there." And his assistant said, "You don't deserve to be called a B word." Okay, next question. At the L'Hermitage, what happened as a hotel? What happened? This is the sobriety party, 2023. Jane said, "I didn't want to take substances." Girl, this is the night she threw up. This is a lot. Who was the first entertainer First one was Rico, then Paul, then Anton. Then I threw up. Then Diddy said, good, you threw up. Now you'll feel better. Then I had relations with Anton and I felt terrible. Whose text message is this? Jane said, it's mine. She said, I wrote, baby, I love you. Do you think you could put something in my hotel? I don't know what that means. Did Diddy respond? No. She said, I needed furniture for the house. Okay, so she writes to Diddy, okay, so she's telling the prosecutor, I needed furniture for my house. And I wrote, you weren't too busy to make sure Chelsea was ready in DC. Play the voice note. Okay, so this is a story we already heard a little bit of. Now we're getting more details from that story where she was trying not to do the substances. She ends up with like 2 guys. And then I thought she threw up. Then she was like, the third guy's waiting, but maybe she had already started with the third guy, then threw up. And I don't know when she took the substances, but she did testify that after a certain point, like she did take the substances, like Diddy gave her the pill. That's whenever she threw up and Diddy was like, oh, good. You're going to feel better for the next guy now. Then she had relations with Anton and she said she felt terrible. Whose text is this? Okay, next text. Jane said, that's mine. I wrote, baby, I love you to Diddy. Do you think you could put something in my hotel? I don't know what that means. But she said, I needed furniture for my house or for the house. And I wrote, you weren't too busy to make sure Chelsea was ready in DC. I don't know who is Chelsea. I don't know who that is. Play the voice note. And now it's another voice note from Diddy. He said, I don't know where the F Chelsea is. I ain't with no B words. Leave me the F alone. I'm single. Okay, let's go to CNN. They have a new update. Three minutes ago, Jane says she responded to Diddy's messages about medical issues because she cared about his health. She continues to testify about text conversations she had with Diddy in October 2023. Diddy texted Jane a screenshot of a conversation. Okay, so Diddy texted Jane a screenshot of a conversation that he had with his doctor about his knees. He wrote that he was stressed, there was a lot going on, and on top of that, I'm aroused. Diddy texted. He's like a boy. The douchey or whatever you want to call it. Diddy then texted Jane a screenshot of a conversation he had with his doctor about his knees, she testified. He wrote that he was stressed. There was a lot going on. On top of that, he was aroused. Jane responded by telling him to take it easy and giving him some advice about his medical issues. She hadn't agreed to see him, but she responded because she cared. She hadn't agreed to see him, but she was like, okay, I'll respond to his, this old man, his knees are going out. So I'll give him some medical advice or whatever about bone supplements. I'm just refreshing through these other sources. USA Today, the jury saw a series of texts in which Jane told Diddy she didn't want to participate in the alleged sexual performances that became common in their relationship. She wrote that the hotel nights made her feel disgusted with herself. And after opening Pandora's box, she felt like she couldn't close it. She recalled her frustration with being pressured to sleep with these entertainers in front of Diddy. And she did this testimony through tears. It's been 3 years of me having to blank strangers. I'm tired. I'm not a corn star. I'm not an animal. She began crying on the stand as she read a text about how she couldn't stand the thought of being in another hotel room, doing substances, and performing. She mentioned having relations for days in the message, and she told Diddy that she was having brain fog from all the substances they were allegedly using without sleeping. I don't want to be used and locked in a room to fulfill your fantasies. In the message that Jane sent to Diddy, September 2023, she said she'd come to realize that their relationship was, she had come to realize what their relationship really was, writing, quote, "I don't want to be used and locked in a room to fulfill your fantasies." The text exchange went back and forth, with Jane texting at one point that the alleged freak-offs felt like an obligation because Diddy was paying for her home. "I feel it's the only reason you have me around and pay for the house," she wrote. Jane talked about feeling obligated to perform at hotel nights in fear of losing her house. She alleged that Diddy would make her feel guilty, often referencing the home he paid for. "He had made such a big purchase, and this was something I had to do." This is a new quote. Quote, "He had made such a big purchase, and this was something I had to do." Texts between Jane and Diddy. Texts between Jane Diddy dates same day he received key to New York City. On September 15th, 2023, the same day Diddy received a symbolic key to New York City from Mayor Eric Adams, Jane and the music mogul shared a tense text exchange, sending loving texts about how she was looking for flights to visit him. Diddy wrote back, asking for videos of her being bad. Okay, so she had sent, this is a new detail as well. She had sent loving texts to Diddy like, "Oh, I'm looking forward to hanging out. I'm about to book the flights to visit you in New York." And he writes back, "Send me some videos of you being bad." Jane realized that he was with another woman at that time, and she said, "You know what? Actually, whoever you're with, they need to figure out how to please you on their own." Diddy said, "Just do what I say. Stop it. Don't say no to me, please." She said in response, "It's clear you just want me there for another hotel binge." Let's go back to Inner City Press. Okay, we got a couple new texts. Tweets. So we just heard a text message exchange and then a voice note from Diddy about someone named Chelsea, whoever that is. I needed furniture for the house. So I said, "You weren't too busy to make sure Chelsea was ready in DC." Play the voice note. Diddy's voice comes on the speaker. "I don't know where the F Chelsea is. I ain't with no B words. Leave me the F alone. I'm single." The assistant U.S. attorney said, "What frustrations did you feel?" Jane said, "I felt like frustrated because I wasn't being heard about how I felt about the hotel nights." "Did you use names for the other women?" Jane said, "Yes, I did. It was misdirected anger." But I asked, "What does the house have to do with what I'm saying?" Right. Jane was, she ain't stupid. I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't trying to get him actually saying it in writing. Jane said, "I asked Diddy, what does the house have to do with what I'm saying?" She said, "I wrote, I'm not Gina and Cassy, okay? Were you telling Diddy you were going to speak out on your relationship?" "Objection, Your Honor," from Diddy's side. Sustained. Interesting that the prosecution would be trying to solicit this testimony that by saying, I'm not Gina and I ain't Cassy, that might mean I'm going to testify against you, buddy. I don't know. Because Diddy's attorney was objecting to it. Look, the question, were you telling Diddy you were going to speak up about your relationship? Objection from Diddy's attorney. Sustained. Fine. Next question. Please read. Did you reference your child? Jane said, yes, I did. I said, you got me effed up. Jane said, just complete what you promised about the 2 years, about the home. I said, don't contact me. What did he say in response? He said, I'm super clear now. I'm super clear now. I'm not on the substances no more, whatever. Jane responds back to him, shh. You had me on constant pins and needles, and now I'm the one that's sick. Sean, leave me alone. Okay, so just to recap, I wrote, I ain't Cassy and I ain't Gina. To which the prosecution said, were you trying to tell Diddy that you were going to speak about your relationship? Objection sustained, so that doesn't get answered. Please read this message. Did you reference your child? Yes, I did. And I said, you got me effed up. I said, just complete what you promised about the 2 years, about the home. And then I said, don't contact me anymore. And what did he say in response? He said, oh, I'm super clear now. He's always just trying to apologize and make it better. Jane's like, too late, buddy. You had me on constant pins and needles. Now I'm the one sick. Leave me alone. Tell him. Okay. Then the prosecutor says, does the next message reference a prior relationship you had? Yes, it does. And then Jane says, I was told, you're crazy by Diddy. So then Diddy's like, you're crazy. So the next message is probably something along the lines of, this is reminding me of my relationship that I had with such and such, so and so, whatever, whatever. Then Diddy just says, you're crazy. You took it too far, baby girl. You'll see. Jane said he was threatening me about the rent. That we don't need to do anything we don't want. But he was threatening me about the rent, she says. And then Jane's like, you're mad at me about a grown man? Stop right there. Don't say anything else, the prosecutor said. Are you referring to your prior relationship? Yes. I wrote, you wasted my time in this toxic relationship. And then she refers to, okay, so I think this has to do with like, Diddy has beef with like one of Jane's exes. So they're like trying to keep that out, I think, of the public, probably for her like anonymity or whatever. They're going back and forth, and this ex is like one of the topics of the conversation. She's like, just complete what you promised the last 2 years about the home. And then I said, don't contact me. And he's like back. He's like, oh, I'm super clear now. And I said, you had me on constant pins and needles, Jane said. Now I'm sick. Leave me alone. Then the next message references her ex, a prior relationship. Then Diddy says, I was told you were crazy. Oh, that's interesting. Diddy says, I was told you were crazy. So someone warned me. I already knew. Somebody told me you were crazy. And this is another thing that, like, I mean, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but like in my experience, from what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've read, the like narcissist or the abusive type of person will kind of act like they've been talking about you behind the back. Like, oh, people already tried to warn me. And it's like, who? Some of your best friends, just to make you isolated, make you feel like people are making fun of you, make you feel like you're second guessing yourself, all that. I was told you were crazy, he said. You took it too far, baby girl. You gonna see. He was threatening me about the rent, that we don't need to do anything we don't want. I wrote, you're just mad at me about something another grown man is doing, presumably her ex. This was referring to her prior relationship. And she said, you wasted my time. She says this to Diddy. You wasted my time in this toxic relationship. Okay, next. Then did you then refer to your previous relationship? Yes. She goes on. Hold on, I'm trying to get it up. You invited me to New York to pair me up with some random man, any MFer, for your own sick, sexual. Hold on, let me stop right there. What were you talking about? Jane said the two men I had chose for myself, Sly and Anton, Diddy kept trying to say I chose those men. He kept trying to say I wanted it. We got a new update from CNN while we wait for the next, on the edge of our seat, for the next tweet from Inner City Press. 4 minutes ago, CNN.com, Jane met Diddy for sobriety party that turned into a hotel night in October 2023. After their message exchanges about his health, Jane met Diddy at his residence. They ended up going to a hotel room for a sobriety party on October 18th, 2023. She said she didn't take substances during the sobriety party and she threw up after having relations with two men. Now, again, y'all, I remember her testifying she did take a substance. She tried to do it sober and she couldn't. So maybe I'm just misremembering. Maybe I read that wrong. I'm not sure she was actually sober the whole sobriety party, but a lot of outlets today are reporting it that way. So I don't know. But she says this CNN is saying she didn't take any substances during this, quote, sobriety party, which entailed her having relations with three men plus Diddy, so 4, multiple rounds of, I think, each. She didn't take substances. She threw up after having relations with 2 of the men. When she told Diddy she had thrown up, he said, okay, that's good. You'll feel better now. Let's go outside the bathroom and to, meet this third man that she did have relations with. She said at the end of the night, she felt absolutely terrible. She's previously testified the following about this same October 2023 sobriety party at a Beverly Hills hotel. She said she wanted Diddy to get sober around this time. He had agreed to stop taking substances. Now, this is also a similar thing to what he went through with Cassy. Like they both had, talked about having substance issues, etc. She said she wanted Diddy to get sober around this time, and he had agreed to stop taking substances for 30 days, but wanted to have one last sobriety party first. This turned out to be a hotel night that lasted 12 to 18 hours. She said she didn't take any substances, but Diddy did. And again, y'all, I do think I remember her saying she tried not to, but then Diddy gave her a pill. I don't know if that's the same incident. Maybe I'm misremembering it. But as of right now, it kind of, to me, seems like it might be a discrepancy in different reporting of what actually was said. Then the prosecutor asked Jane last week, and this is in the reminder, how she felt after doing the hotel night without any substances. And she said, I was disgusted. I was just repulsed. I was just so mad at myself for doing that. And I just deeply regretted that. So this was around September 2023, October 2023. It's starting to paint a picture for sure. There's a new update from Washington Post. Okay, 10 minutes ago. Motivations around $10,000 a month rental home questioned. The house that Diddy rented for Jane and for which he continues to pay monthly $10,000 rent. And who owns this house? Watch us find out if Diddy owns it for the enterprise. Wouldn't that be crazy? The house that Diddy rented for Jane and one for which has become a major source of contention, he still pays to this day $10,000 monthly rent. Jane is reading text messages, a text message exchange in which Diddy asked her whether her child was home and said he was on his way to our house. Jane had just declined to participate in a freak off and was hoping to avoid Diddy. Quote, can I please come over there? That's my house too. I'm coming over. Are you going to let me in or not? Read the text message. Diddy, who had a persona as a laid back hip hop bad boy, then texted her 6 more times. Are you going to let me into our house? Are you going to let me into our house? Are you going to let me into our house? Are you going to let me into our house? Are you going to let me into our house? Are you going to let me into our house? And I wanted to read it like that just to show how annoying and persistent and aggravating. Prosecutors have argued throughout the trial that the house was a form of financial coercion. Okay. So the most recent text, we're starting to see Jane is starting to understand the psychological games that Diddy has played. She probably been online looking it up on a support group or something. But she's like, you invited me to New York to pair me up with some random man, any random MFer for your own sick sec. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Prosecutor says, what are you talking about? Jane says, well, there were two men that I had chosen for myself, Sly and Anton. So Diddy kept trying to say I chose those men. This is the month before Cassy's lawsuit made the news, by the way. So maybe Diddy was starting to realize, SpaghettiOs, I better start tightening it up. So he's putting it in writing. He's putting it in voice note. The two men I choose for myself, Diddy kept trying to say I chose them and I had wanted it. I wrote, you want to gaslight me? The assistant U.S. attorney said, what did you mean by that? Jane said, he wanted me to believe I wanted those things. He kept trying to make me think and believe and manipulate me into thinking that I wanted that. What else did he then text you? He said, you and me don't have no beef. And I said to him, you created all this evil inside of me. Not the demon possession spreading. I rebuke. Jane said, I wrote to him, I regret everything. I regret everything. All this toxic beep, which overran my life. He said, you burning a bridge you're going to need by tomorrow. And what did you write? I wrote, I don't trust you. And then he wrote back, oh, really? Because 10 hours ago, you loved me. Not this. Remember when you were under my spell and you loved me? Go back under my spell and get them demons back to work. So she said, you want to gaslight me? Meaning he wanted me to believe I wanted to do these things with these other two. But I still said, but you still invited me to New York to pair me up with some random man, any MFer for your own sick sexual desires. Now you want to gaslight me and act like I wanted this? No, I didn't. That's your sick fantasy, weird sicko. He wanted me to believe I wanted these things, but I did not. Then he said, you and me don't have no beef. I said, you created this evil inside of me, Jane said. I wrote to him, I regret everything. All this toxic stuff, which overran my life. You're burning a bridge that you are gonna need tomorrow, Diddy said. You're burning a bridge you gonna need tomorrow. And then what did you write back? Jane said, I don't trust you. And he wrote, oh, really? Because 10 hours ago, you loved me. So now this. Gaslighting, in my opinion. Then he wrote, it is a free country, right? Getting this alibi, because he probably knew at this time he was going to be using it in court. Just in case he needed to use it, let me put this one in writing. We ain't going to voice note this one. He wrote, it's a free country. I am an adult. You are an adult. He wrote this to Jane. You are writing a whole book about what you hate about me. Diddy said, we both made promises we didn't keep. If you don't want to talk to me, there's nothing I can do. Okay, Jane, did you then get the phone? Yes. What phone? I don't know what phone. So Diddy's trying to put this in the record, right? I mean, technically the prosecutors are putting it in the record, but I feel like Diddy was typing this stuff knowing he was going to be saying one day in the future, if this Jane Doe ever tried to say anything about him or whatever, it's a free country. I'm an adult and you're an adult. And this is Diddy. This is Diddy's defense. These were consenting adults. I mean, it's been his defense since September 2024, a year after these texts were sent. It's a free country. I'm an adult and you're an adult. You were writing a whole book, Diddy said, about what you hate about me. But we both made promises we didn't keep. So it's you two. It's you two. If you don't want to talk to me, there's nothing I can do. And did you get the phone? Jane said yes. Let's go to CNN. We have a new update. Jane says she asked Diddy for money following the traumatic party. 7 minutes ago, CNN.com. Jane said after the sobriety party, again, it's unclear in the reporting whether she actually did ask for a substance or not. But the way that it's being reported today in today's testimony is that she did not do any substances, and she was just so disgusted and sick from doing this sober 12 to 18 hour party. Again, I think she did eventually get a, Diddy gave her a pill, but the way they're reporting it is no. She said she asked Diddy for money following the traumatic party. She said after the sobriety party, Diddy went to Miami. She texted him asking him to put money in her account. Jane said she sent more angry text messages about feeling used for the sobriety party that turned into a hotel night. So when Diddy didn't answer, she sent more angry texts. Diddy sent her an audio message telling her he's single and he doesn't have to listen to her. The argument continued, and eventually Jane and Diddy got on the phone. Jane testified that over the phone, Diddy offered to pay 3 more months of her rent after she expressed her frustration over the party, which she called traumatic. She testified that she told him, "I'm not Gina or Cassy," 2 other women Diddy dated who Jane said left their relationships quietly. So she's like, they might have left out quiet. They might have did a certain, however they acted, but I'm not about to do that, buddy. But then remember that got objected to, and the judge didn't let him finish that line of questioning or answer the question. We have Washington Post also reporting on that. Ann Brannigan, Washington Post, 4 minutes ago, quote, "I'm not Gina or Cassy." Jane texted Diddy during a heated argument in October 2023. The conversation came after another hotel night in LA. Jane was particularly upset about this encounter. When she tried to talk about her unhappiness in a phone call, Diddy once again threatened to stop paying her rent, she testified. Jane referenced Diddy's ex-girlfriends because she felt pushed to the edge, explaining her state of mind at the time. "In essence, I was just saying, don't play with me." Weeks later, Cassy did file her lawsuit against Diddy. It was just weeks later. This all was happening right around the same time. We have a new update from NBC. Jane recalls throwing up while having relations with 3 men. Not all at the same time. That's kind of misleading. I think it was one after the other. Jane said Diddy once made her have relations with 3 men during a rendezvous at L'Hermitage Beverly Hills Hotel. She didn't recall the name of the first man, but the second was named Paul and the third was named Sean. So this is a different one than New York. This is LA. It's just constant. She didn't recall the name of the first man, but the second man was named Paul and the third man was named Sean. She said she had to leave. She left in the middle of doing it to go throw up. She recalls Diddy coming to check on her and then telling her to return to the party. So I guess it was 3 of them. She called the evening absolutely terrible. It sounds like literally torture. Jane says Diddy would use her home as leverage. The witness said she couldn't just leave her relationship with Diddy in October 2023, despite her objections to having relations with strangers. At the heart of the matter was the economic control, Jane said, that Diddy had over her by paying her rent. It was, quote, "like the home was being used as leverage," she said. In a text message to Diddy displayed in court, she accused him of threatening the roof over her head. Got a new update from CNN. "You placed all these harmful men on me and risked my health." Ooh, said Jane. Uh-oh. This is starting to give me those Audie memories. Remember what he said? Quote, "You placed all these harmful men on me and risked my health," Jane texted to Diddy. The jury has heard a further string of texts between Jane and Diddy in which he repeatedly asked her to call him to talk. So he's like, call me, call me, call me. And she's like, no. At one point, Jane texted Diddy, quote, "You placed and paid all of these harmful men on me and risked my health. This was never love. I regret everything and all this dark, toxic beep that entered my life." That is striking testimony, striking evidence. You placed and paid all these harmful men on me. This was never love, and I regret everything and all this dark, toxic beep that entered my life. Okay, we get some more text tweets from Inner City Press. Oh, wow. There's like text messages about consent. This is interesting. Okay, Diddy tells her it's a free country. This is the last thing that we read on Inner City Press. It's a free country. I'm an adult. You're an adult. You're writing a whole book, Diddy said, about what you hate about me, but we both made promises that we didn't keep. If you don't want to keep talking to me, that's fine. There's nothing I can do. Then the question was, did you get the phone? And Jane said yes, but I don't know what phone and what that is about. Next question. What did you write here? Jane said, wow. Ooh, Jane said, she's reading her own texts out loud in court. You knew I would finish strong. Pep talks to keep me performing. I know I was consenting. Like you said, you didn't know I didn't want it. Well, this is my truth. I love you very much, but I need to take a pause. Why did you say I know I was consenting? Jane said, well, I'd picked up that word from him. He said, if anyone ever sees those videos, they're going to see that you wanted it. This is Diddy's defense. This was in the opening statement. You're going to see that these women very much enjoyed themselves, right? All that stuff. So she said, I know I was consenting. The prosecutor's like, why did you say that you knew you were consenting? And Jane said, well, I had picked up those words from him. He said if anyone ever saw the freak off videos that they would say that I wanted it. Was that true? Jane said, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I guess we're going to have to see the jury decide. What did you see? Okay, so did you get the phone, the videos, right? So it's like when the prosecutor said, did you eventually get the phone with the freak off videos on it? The special, remember they had like a special phone to the side of the freak off videos? Somehow, some way, Jane ended up with the phone. I want the fuller thread so I can just remind myself what's going on. Because it is kind of, it becomes confusing to keep up with a little bit. So I just want to go back and read the last, like, I want to spend the day with you. I wrote back, you make it crystal clear exactly. Oh, no, that's too far back. Hold on. Okay. He wrote, it's a free country, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't want to talk, it seems like she had a discussion with him. Like there was a lot of texts. It's like a 2-day long fight. So I'm sure we're missing a lot of context. But Diddy's like, it's a free country. I'm an adult. You're an adult. So he's kind of laying the record that, oh, it was all consenting. And then she's like, yeah, but you knew I was going to finish strong. Those pep talks that kept me performing. I know I was consenting, or you think that I was. Like you said, you didn't know I didn't want it. But this is my truth. I love you very much, but I need to take a pause. The reason that she said, I know I was consenting, is that Diddy had kind of brainwashed her a little bit. And remember, she said, like, once she got to looking back through her texts, she realized actually she had made Diddy aware many times that she didn't any longer want to do these hotel nights. I pick up the word from him. He said if anyone saw the videos, they were going to say that Jane wanted it. Was that true? I don't know. She said, I'm still trying to figure that one out. So what did you see in the videos when you finally got the phone and you're looking at the freak off tapes? What did you see? She said, I was on substances. I was just following a pattern, performing. Okay. Please enter to the record this exhibit. What is this exhibit? Jane says, it's from my notes. I wrote, I'm having PTSD from these nights. So she's having flashbacks. It's interfering with her daily life, these memories, these emotions coming up. Probably also just probably I'm sure it was somewhat rough, physical, body trauma, stuff like that. I'm having PTSD from these nights. Why did you write that in your notes app? Jane said, to get my feelings out. Did you see Diddy that day? Jane said, yes. And I was comforted by him. I was able to talk about the pain I was feeling, and he was hugging me. What are these? These are photos I took of us in his master bathroom. I felt in this moment he understood me. He had a Halloween video shoot. That was nice. But his birthday was approaching and I felt nervous. Somebody said this in my comments the other day in my live chat. Like, yeah, probably the reason they broke up in October is because he goes all out for the birthday and she didn't want any part of it. She said his birthday was approaching and I felt nervous. He would want to party hard, but he spent his birthday with his family. I got him a mobile television and mobile television, like one that rolls around. I don't know. We had these things called movie nights where we would watch our videos. So she's still kind of going back and forth, back to him, breaking up, back to him, breaking up. Is there any? Oh, they've added some more context, some more quotes to this. You placed me and paid all these harmful men and risk my health. Okay, this was never love. I regret everything. And all this dark, toxic beep entered my life. After more messages were sent, Jane and Diddy had a phone call in which he tried to calm her down. She later texted him that she was processing some sort of trauma and just needed some healing time to get back to herself. Quote, I feel as your lover, I wanted to please you and de-stress you. And I pushed through and I went along with things, even when deep down I wanted the night to be over, she said to Diddy in a message. She wrote that she would try to give Diddy cues to let him know she wanted to finish, but he would encourage her to push through. I know I was consenting, like I say on tape. She testified that she was referencing their phone conversation in which Diddy told her, if anyone were to watch these tapes, they would have thought you were having the best time. They look like you were enjoying yourself. Quote, they look like you were consenting. The prosecutor asked her if that was true. Jane paused for a long time before responding. I'm still trying to figure that out. Let's go back to Inner City Press. Jane said, I felt this TV could be a substitute for the entertainer. And then Cassy's, oh my God. And then Cassy's lawsuit came out. It was everywhere on social media. I think I fainted. This is the next month. That was nice, but his birthday was approaching and I felt nervous. He was going to want to party hard. The end of last year, 2 years ago, 2023. I felt nervous. I knew he was going to want to party hard for his birthday, but he spent his birthday with his family. So I got him a mobile television for our movie nights where we would watch our videos. I felt that this TV could substitute for the entertainer. But then the Cassy lawsuit came out and it was everywhere on social media. I think I fainted, Jane said. Why? She said, and she starts sobbing on the stand. She's sobbing because there were 3 pages that were harrowing. And it was what I was experiencing. So it was kind of a wake-up call. Like, okay, first of all, I'm not alone in this. And second of all, this is really putting into perspective what I am experiencing. Did you screenshot those pages? Yes, I did. Do you recognize this? Yes, it's Cassy's lawsuit, filed November 16th, 2023. Had you ever met Cassy? Jane says yes. In 2015, there was a fashion show and a celebration for Diddy. That's the only time I ever met Cassy. So this is not Cassy's friend. This is not somebody she's friends with. They just met one time. Let me get to some of these real quick. Thank you to Ariane for the 149 euro super sticker. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Liberated Lioness. Just watched the Follow the Money video, and I told you your time would come. Head up to the light, girly. The universe has your back. Amen. There it is. Thank you for that $9.99. Shout out to Taylor, member for 20 months, bought and paid for. Good morning, Sour Girl. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Morning. Thanks, BJ. You're doing amazing. Hibiscus Rose, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. And they were talking about the Carisha Please podcast. Thank you for that super chat. Thank you so much to Sheena for the $4.99 super chat. Look at Kai Cenat next to Diddy. He looks just like him. He also moved in next door to Diddy, and all Diddy's buddies drop in on his streams. That's true, Sheena. Thank you for the $4.99. Thank you, Pamela. Shout out to you becoming a member. Thank you, Maria. Do you think the females might be accused of ST? Because they're the ones who paid the workers to cross the state lines. I don't think so, because I think the government would probably have already charged them, but maybe. Thanks so much for the $4.99. Thanks so much to Princess Joyce for the $4.99 super chat. I laugh every time you say, I don't know, I wasn't there. Love your commentary on this trial. And I don't. It's the truth. It's the truth, Princess Joyce. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you to Kim Casey for the 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, Alice, for the $5 super chat. I think multiple psych issues are going on here. And, we're not experts over here. Maybe Alice is. I'm not. But I'll go ahead and read this. This is just strictly commentary and opinion. But Alice said, I think multiple psych issues are going on here. S addiction, impeding, flexing his power, the specific women he chose, baby oil, maybe child. Listen, it could be some type of trauma from his childhood. Thank you for the $5, $4.99 super chats. Let's see if we have anything new from the Inner City Press tweets. We do. Okay, so where we left off, Jane says that she was kind of planning, like, doing this portable TV thing where they could watch their own videos so she wouldn't have to do the freak offs and the hotel nights anymore. And she thought it was maybe like some type of compromise. But then in the midst of all that, Cassy's lawsuit hits public. And she said there was these 3 pages that were just simply harrowing. Hold on, let me get to the thread down here. Three pages, and she's sobs. There were 3 pages that were harrowing. What I was experiencing. Did you screenshot those pages? Yes. Do you recognize this lawsuit? Yes, it's Cassy's lawsuit, filed November 2023. And I only met her one time ever in my life in 2015. I was reading those 3 pages and it felt like a nightmare. I had a lot of sympathy for this because, objection, Your Honor. Okay, yeah, true. This is non-responsive to the question. The judge is like, sustained. Re-ask a new question. Prosecutor says, how did you react when you read Cassy's lawsuit, especially these 3 pages? Jane said, like, I can't believe I'm reading my own story in someone else's lawsuit. It says this was updated less than a minute ago, but I think it's the same thing we already read. I regret everything. All this dark, toxic stuff entered my life. You put all this evil inside of me. We have a new update from Washington Post 1 minute ago. Jane is describing Diddy's moods and the ways he would use the moods, sometimes cycling between anger and ecstasy and encouragement within the same conversation to control her. In one 2023 text exchange, he veered from breakup talk to sexts. He often would love bomb Jane, who is testifying under a pseudonym, she said. When he would show her affection, it would often smooth things over. He would also give her pep talks during freak-offs/hotel nights that would sometimes last days. On one occasion, when Jane did not want to answer his phone calls, he got his doctor to send notes about how he had knee surgery coming up just to elicit sympathy from Jane. New update from NBC. Jane on seeing herself in Diddy's tapes. I saw me being on substances and following a pattern. She said she has viewed the footage that Diddy shot and kept of her having relations with strangers. I saw me being on substances. I was following a pattern. The pattern that I thought he wanted to see. It was like a show over and over again. It was like a show I was performing over and over again. During this whole time, Diddy insinuated that these ongoing parties were done on her own free will. When asked in court if she in fact consented to the hotel nights, she said she was still trying to figure that out. Less than a minute ago, Jane says she left Diddy's house before his birthday in hopes of avoiding a party. So now these things are being described as like group S events. I don't know if it's just like the reporting is getting ambiguous or if it's like actually like more than one man at a time at this point. But now they're calling it party. Is the party the same thing as a hotel night? I don't know. Jane testified that she went to Diddy's house soon after the latest text exchange she testified about in October 2023. The visit ended up being one of her favorite moments. The jury saw photos of the two of them together in his bathroom. She recalled that this was the first time she felt supported by Diddy. Quote, I felt that he had really absorbed for the first time what I was saying. I felt that he understood me in this moment. They spent time together over the next few days in late October, but she left when it got closer to his birthday on November 4th. With celebrations, this is a quote from Jane, I just felt like they would be put on me as far as him wanting to party. So she's like, I didn't want to party, okay, for the birthday. Diddy didn't call her to party for his birthday, but Jane said she did buy him a mobile TV screen that they could use for movie nights to watch their own corn, hoping that could replace the entertainers. Okay. So the last question from the prosecutor to Jane was, how did you react to reading Cassy's lawsuit, and in particular, those 3 pages? Jane said, like, I can't believe I'm reading my own story. Can you please read your messages the day after the Cassy lawsuit came out? Jane said, 4 in one night, and now I'm going to the doctor. Okay. So the day after Cassy's lawsuit came out, Jane said 4 in one night, and now I'm going to the doctor. I'm assuming that means 4 men. Okay, what about 3 days later? Jane said, I wrote like I'm reading, Jane said, I wrote, quote, I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. God finally woke me up about this cycle. You gaslit me, Jane says to Diddy. And this is after reading the Cassy lawsuit, like after somebody was willing to put it, because see, Jane didn't think Cassy was about it like that. She even told Diddy, I ain't Cassy and I ain't Gina. But Cassy ended up being the first domino to fall on Diddy. Let's go to Washington Post. We already read that. New update from NBC just now. Jane said she fainted when she saw Cassy's lawsuit. She said she fainted after Cassy's filed her lawsuit against Diddy, recognizing the civil complaint matched her own experiences with him. I almost fainted. In fact, I think I did. She sobbed in recounting her reaction to Cassy's allegations. Quote, there were 3 specific pages that was just harrowing reference to what I was experiencing. I was just bewildered, just in shock. Got an update from CNN. Cassy's 2023 lawsuit was like reading my own story, Jane testifies. She testified about learning of Cassy's 2023 federal lawsuit against Diddy, a lawsuit in which Cassy accused Diddy of R and physical abuse, and which was settled one day after it was filed. I almost fainted. In fact, I think I did. She said 3 pages in Cassy's lawsuit had a harrowing resemblance to her own experience. Quote, I just reacted like I can't believe I'm reading my own story, she testified. She said she has only met Cassy a couple times in passing years ago, and they have not communicated beyond that. Jane messaged Diddy after reading the lawsuit. So Jane read the lawsuit and then texted Diddy. Quote, I was just in a complete state of shock, just messaging him and just like, what is this? Okay. Okay. 7 minutes ago is the most recent tweet from Inner City Press where Jane sent Diddy a text the day after Cassy's lawsuit. And Jane says to Diddy, quote, 4 in one night, and now I'm going to the doctor. And then 3 days after Cassy's lawsuit, Jane wrote, I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. God finally woke me up about this cycle. You gaslit me. Okay, the prosecutor says, we're going to play some audio with your true name redacted. Show the full transcript to the jury. So the jury has a transcript, they're reading it, and they're playing this audio, but there's a redaction of her name, of Jane's true name. So it's loud and scratchy audio played. Diddy is saying, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to stop all this madness. And then Jane says, I don't know. Like, there, do or do not, there really is no try. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm trying to stop. Well, I mean, you are really bad at stopping stuff. Refreshing Washington Post. 3 minutes ago, prosecutors tried to head off Jane's text that said, I knew I was consenting. Jane was asked to explain a text exchange with Diddy from October 2023 in which she said, I knew I was consenting like you said. This was a reference to freak-offs. The assistant U.S. attorney, Maureen Comey, asked Jane, who is using a pseudonym, why she told Diddy that. Jane explained that they had a phone conversation earlier in the day. And in the phone conversation earlier in the day, Diddy said, if anybody were to watch these tapes, they would have thought you were having the best time. It looked like you were consenting. I picked up that word from him, Jane said. During that line of questioning, the prosecutor revealed that Jane had seen a sampling of those freak-off videos in her meetings with prosecutors. So she watched them with the prosecutors. The prosecutor asked if it was true that she had consented to those freak-offs, and Jane took a long pause, and she said, I'm still trying to figure that out. 1 minute ago, Anne Brannigan, Washington Post, said Jane began to break down and cry again when asked about her reaction to reading Cassy's ST lawsuit against Diddy when it was filed November 2023. She said, I almost fainted. In fact, I think I did faint. She said there were 3 specific pages that bore a harrowing resemblance to what she had experienced. Diddy's ex, Jane, said she took screenshots of those pages of the lawsuit. It was a nightmare. I can't believe I'm reading my own story, Jane said. It was exactly my experience and my anguish. We might have already read this. There were specific pages that was just a harrowing reference to what I was experiencing. I was just bewildered, just in shock. I freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. These voice recordings are from Diddy, and he was recording it because he was, in my opinion, already trying to lay down a foundation that this was all consenting for evidence for exactly if he needed to use it in a trial. Look, I'm going to tell you why I think that. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I certainly can't get inside this man's head, but it seems like he was trying to get a record. He was trying to be so nice. He was trying to cuddle. He was trying to, oh, I'm trying to stop all this. I'm trying to, and he was recording her. And she did not know. We're going to play some audio with your true name. Show the full transcript to the jury. It's Diddy. I love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to stop all this madness. Jane says, I don't know. Prosecutor, did you know you were being recorded, Jane? Jane said, no. Did you know you were being listened in on? Jane said, no. More audio. Jane saying, who's there for me when I close my eyes and I have all these effed up things in my head? Y'all. Then Maureen Comey's like, keep playing. Play it all the way to 3 minutes, 45 seconds. It is a secret, surreptitious recording. Jane did not know. Jane did not know she was being recorded, and it's a conversation between her and Diddy. Now, why were they recording this? Or unless it was a wiretap. Did you know you were being recorded? No. Did you know you were being listened in on? No. Then Jane is saying, who's there when I close my eyes and I have all this effed up stuff in my head? And then they just keep it playing to 3 minutes, 45 seconds. I bet you we're going to start getting some quotes from that soon, rolling out of the courtroom. One new update from NBC. Cassy's lawsuit was like reading her own sexual trauma, Jane testified. It was like a play-by-play of the sexual trauma that Diddy allegedly inflicted on her. I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma, Jane wrote to Diddy in a text message. Cassy's civil complaint read, quote, word for word of the abuse Jane claims she also endured. Okay, they haven't said anything new. USA Today either. Let's go back to Inner City Press. I guess they're just playing the recording. Because look, Jane says, who's there when I close my eyes and I have all these effed things in my head? And the prosecutor's like, keep playing it to 3 minutes, 45 seconds. Oh my gosh, please tell me what it says. I'm on the edge of my seat. Thanks so much, admin, for the $20 super chat. Your earrings and necklace look nice on you. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you. Apparently a Hadley interview is dropping soon. Yes. I'm looking forward to watching that interview. Thank you for the heads up and the $20 super chat. Shout out to A becoming a member. Thank you, Naomi Rodriguez, for the $9.99. BJ, since Lou Taylor is a common denominator of Diddy, Kardashians, Bieber, what if they claim billionaire status using some money starting with Britney Spears' conservatorship funds? And what about Hailey? Yeah, Hailey Bieber. Exactly. It's something I've definitely wondered. I don't want to get my hopes up that Lou Taylor's ever going to get the full justice she deserves, but I'm sitting right here with the popcorn in case she does. Thank you for the $9.99. Thank you to KP in Arizona for the $4.99. Thanks, BJ the Queen. Thank you, Dashia, for the $10 super chat. Thanks for you. Thank you, Donna, for the $9.99 super sticker. Shout out to you. Shout out to Sadie Marshall becoming a member. Thank you to Glennis Bless from the for the $9.99 super chat super sticker. Thank you. Kel on Air, shout out to you becoming a member and being a member for 2 months. You can't convince me this didn't start with Janice. Yuck. I just see him lurking. Listen. Can you imagine? Oh my God, that is crazy nasty. Okay. I don't know. But Kel on Earth said you're not going to convince her. That ain't what's going on. Okay, we got a new tweet. Diddy's voice on the surreptitious recording. Jane did not know she was being recorded. This is not a recording that Jane has. This from her stuff. She didn't take the recording. It's not a voice note text message. It's like a recording of a conversation between her and Diddy. I'm trying to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just effed up right now. And Diddy asks, are you recording me? Jane, were you recording him? Jane says, absolutely not. I was not recording him, but he was recording me. So Diddy was apparently the one recording, and then he asks her, are you recording me? The man is paranoid, according to testimony. Okay. TheIndependent.com 33 minutes ago, Jane testifies she told Diddy that the sobriety party was traumatic. She testified that she told Diddy that having relations with 3 men and throwing up at the sobriety party was traumatic. She also texted him that he paid all these harmful men on her and risked her health. According to the messages, this was never love. I regret everything and all this dark, toxic stuff that entered my life. Diddy responded by sending her a voice message via text, telling her he's single and he don't have to listen to her. Once they got on the phone, Diddy offered to pay 3 more months of her rent. Jane says Diddy paid her rent in order to control her. She testified that Diddy paid her $10,000 rent, but used it as leverage to control her. Quote, the home was being used as leverage. She previously testified that Diddy is still paying her rent. She testified Diddy sent her doctor's notes to elicit sympathy. She testified that Diddy had his doctor send her a note about his knee surgery to elicit sympathy when she wasn't answering his calls. Jane also accused Diddy of love bombing her when they had disagreements. So this is starting to bring in enterprise, using other people to chase her down when she says, no, why didn't you leave? Well, here she is leaving. We're starting to get that evidence and the testimony that I was looking for, last week to make it more in line with some of the other testimony that we've heard, which I did, again, anticipate and suspect was coming. Update inner city press. They're listening to this long, like several minutes, it seems, of like voice notes. Did you know you were being recorded? No. Did you know you were being listened in on? No. Who's there when I close my eyes and I have these effed up things in my head? Keep playing. Diddy's voice. I'm trying to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? And then Jane says, I'm just effed up right now. And Diddy's like, are you recording me? Jane's like, oh. And then the prosecutor's like, were you recording him? And Jane's like, absolutely not. I wasn't recording him. Paranoid. Who was recording him? Was Diddy recording it, or was it a tapped wiretap call? Like what? I guess everybody's just in here listening to this thing because nobody's really like making any posts about it yet, except these 2 tweets from Inner City Press. More audio. Okay. 22 seconds ago, more audio. This is Diddy's voice. Diddy's voice to Jane saying, what you did is not right. You know what I'm saying? I can't talk on this phone. I don't know what the F is going on. I need you to support. You got me that video thing. Question, what did that mean? Jane said, he's talking about that mobile TV I got him. So we get a lot of like little context information, little hints, but not the full context. Diddy's telling Jane, what you did is not right, he tells to Jane. I can't talk on this phone. Why not? This must be a wiretapped phone. That's like what I'm starting to put together, because it's like, I mean, I followed the Big U case, and they were tapping his phones for the federal criminal RICO investigation. They were tapping Big U's phones. They were tapping, I think, other people's phones in the alleged conspiracy. And in this one, we're getting a little bit of information about how this call was recorded. Obviously, it was recorded because they're listening to it in court. Look, we're going to play some audio with your true name. Show the full transcript to the jury. Loud and scratchy audio playing of Diddy saying, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to stop all this madness. And Jane goes, I don't know. Did you know you were being recorded, Jane? Jane says, no. Did you know you were being listened in on? By who? Jane said, no. Okay, then they play more audio. Jane said, who was there when I closed my eyes and I have all this effed up stuff in my head from those disgusting freak offs? Then they play the audio more. And Diddy's like, I'm just trying to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just effed up. And then Jane's like, I'm just effed up right now. Then Diddy's like, are you recording me? Like he got the tingle he was being recorded, and he definitely was somehow, either by his own self or maybe it was wiretapped. Jane, were you recording him? Jane said, absolutely not. Okay, then they play more audio. What you did is not right. You know what I'm saying? I can't talk on this phone. Talk on this phone? Why? Did he suspect he was being recorded? Wiretapped? Diddy said, I don't know what the F is going on. I need you to support. You got me that video thing. Question, what did that mean, that video thing? Jane said, he's talking about the mobile TV I got for him so that we could watch our FOs. We could watch our videos that we had made in the past. Movie nights. Wait. But what does this mean? What you did is not right. I can't talk on this phone. What does this mean? I'm hoping CNN in the 18 minutes it's been since they posted last, they're going to give us one of those long posts, updates with like a lot of quotes from what was played in court. What you did is not right. What did she do? I'm on the edge of my seat here. Shout out to Virginia Martinez for the one gifted membership. Thank you too also for the $2 super chat. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the 30 super sticker. Shout out to you. And shout out to Morning Star Hernandez becoming a new member. Just waiting for the next tweet. They seem to be playing several excerpts from some type of recorded call. Now, who was recording it is a mystery to me. But it looks like, we're just waiting for updates anywhere we can get them. Just refreshing the different sources. Okay, 6 minutes ago, The Independent said Jane describes reading Cassie's 2023 lawsuit. I almost fainted. In fact, I think I did. It was like reading her own SUL trauma. Cassy sued Diddy for abuse. She revealed in court last month she settled the lawsuit for $20 million. Cassy told the jury she would give up the settlement if it meant she never had to go through with the freak-offs, which involved her having relations with other men at Diddy's direction. Most recent tweet from Inner City Press was still 6 minutes ago. Can we move on? Yes, Cole is like, got your phone tapped. So what you gonna do? Because sooner or later they're gonna have your whole crew. Oh, here he goes being paranoid. The voyeur is fearing surveillance. Go figure. He did. He had a feeling. He had a gut feeling somebody was recording him. He's like, you're not recording me. Phone's tapped and he knows it. Yeah, that's kind of what I was seeing it as. Oh. So nobody really following. It came from Diddy's confiscated phone. Either it came from his confiscated phone. Okay, now they're taking a break. How much longer, Miss Comey? I'm confident I'll finish today. It may be the end of the day, but today. So she's going to be done with all this by today. Are they going to argue about anything? Just refreshing the other sources. And I'm trying to see, are they going to argue about anything else like before they go into lunch? Break. Okay. So what is the deal with the phone call? Nobody's going to say anything? Like, what the hell? What you did is not right. This right here tweet, Diddy saying what you did is not right. You know what I'm saying? I can't talk on this phone. I don't know what the F is going on. I need you to support. You got me that video thing. The mobile TV. It does kind of seem like a phone tapping situation. Let's see what these other sources are going to say. I want them to report what was on that. I want them to report what was on that recording. Just refreshing stuff, waiting for anything. Waiting for anything, y'all. Like, it's really unusual for CNN to go this long without posting any updates. 24 minutes. It's like, are they scurrying, trying to type out the recordings? Are they just so flabbergasted? 18 minutes ago, NBC most recent. 22 minutes ago, most recent from Washington Post. 24 for CNN. And then 11 minutes ago for NBC. USA Today is just, I don't even know why I have it up. Oh, let me pull up those other sources and see if they're up. Yeah. There's some Fox News update. Okay, yeah, cool. Ooh, yes, we have some quotes here. Okay. Let's just start from 49 minutes ago. Diddy told ex-girlfriend she was crazy when she voiced frustration with hotel nights, according to testimony. Diddy labeled his ex-girlfriend crazy when she voiced her frustration with the hotel nights, and she felt obligated to perform them, according to her testimony. The jury was shown text messages from October 17, 2023, where Jane wrote, "I'm not trying to F strangers to fulfill your fetishes." Diddy called her crazy. She testified that Diddy often called her crazy when she voiced her frustration about the hotel nights. Jane said she told Diddy she needed a break. After a back and forth, the disgraced music mogul said he would leave Jane alone. But then the jury was shown more text messages where Diddy did not leave her alone. From October 7th, 2023, Jane wrote, "Please, just leave me alone. Like you leave me alone every night when you're with someone else." She told the rapper Jane told Diddy he was, quote, coming down and needed to take vitamins. Jane told the jury she could tell Diddy had been partying and needed to rest. 37 minutes ago, Diddy gained his ex's sympathy, that's Jane, with messages about needing surgery. She recalled turning off her frustrations over hotel nights after Diddy revealed he needed surgery. She told the jury that she had been avoiding talking to Diddy on the phone in October 2023 because she worried she would fall back into just the pattern of doing whatever Diddy wanted. The jury was shown more text messages between Diddy and Jane. The rapper wrote, "Are you going to let me in our house?" 6 times in a row. Jane testified Diddy was referring to the house where she lives. Jane said she did not respond to the messages because she just wanted to shut him out. Diddy then sent Jane a screenshot of his conversation with a doctor. Jane remembered turning her frustrations off because she felt bad for him because the message said Diddy's knees were bad and he needed surgery. Jane wrote back, "Just breathe, take it easy." According to Jane, at that moment, how Diddy was feeling was more important than ignoring him. Diddy's ex, 7 minutes ago, Fox News, testified she was livid when Diddy used her home as leverage for hotel nights. She testified that she became livid when Diddy allegedly used the home he paid for as leverage for her to participate in the hotel nights. The jury was shown texts between Diddy and Jane October 24th and 25th of 2023. And the messages, so this is just like a couple weeks before Cassy's lawsuit hit the public. In the messages, she told Diddy she was really upset with him. She also referenced the love contract, the agreement the two had for Diddy to pay her $10,000 a month for monthly expenses. Diddy responded, Oh, Jane in these text messages referenced the love contract, the $10,000 a month rent contract. And Diddy responded to Jane that she was threatening him. Before sending the text, Jane claimed she had spoken to Diddy on the phone and voiced her frustration about the most recent hotel night. Diddy allegedly said he wasn't going to pay for something when he wasn't seeing her. So Jane testified that she was livid that he turned it to the house in the conversation. She then told him, "I'm not Gina or Cassy." She explained to the jury that what she meant was she was feeling violated and was standing up for herself. She then texted Diddy, "Go take your effing meds. F you and your fake apology. Don't call me. Don't text me. I'm dead to you." Then she said, ever since she got into the home was leverage for the hotel nights. Diddy wrote, "Fine, let's leave each other alone. You're effing crazy." He said that to Jane. Then Diddy wrote, "But we both don't have to do anything we don't want to do." Again, I believe he was starting to lay the foundation and lay the evidence for what he figured was going to need to be used in court, whether it be civil, I'm sure he was hoping it wasn't going to be criminal. We both don't have to do anything we don't want to do. Jane said she took this as a threat, meaning Diddy was no longer going to be paying her rent. Jane responded, "F you. You got me sick. And you threatened the house for the millionth time. And I'm wondering, what is this? Now I'm sick because all these men, no protection, no ability. Like, she didn't see their tests that they took, the Jonathan Oddie stuff. And then she said, you paid for me to sleep with these men and it put my health in harm's way. I'm wondering what she means. You got me sick. 5 minutes ago, CNN.com. I feel like I'm reading my own SUL trauma. Jane continues to testify about her reaction to Cassy's lawsuit, a lawsuit in which Cassy accused Diddy of R and physical abuse. And it was settled the next day after it was filed. Jane texted Diddy in November 2023, a few days after the lawsuit was filed, and she testified. She wrote to Diddy that she woke up feeling sick and with nightmares because she had been reading Cassy's lawsuit. Quote, "I feel like I'm reading my own SUL trauma." Referencing similarities between her experience and those alleged by Cassy in Cassy's lawsuit, she wrote, "Even 2 of my own birthdays, you forced men on me." This is a new quote. Quote, "Even 2 of my own birthdays, you forced men on me. The sick part is you knew this was coming and you gaslit me and made me feel crazy about the S trauma I was developing, knowing you've been here before," meaning with Cassy. This is a powerful quote. Jane knew because of Cassy's lawsuit that Diddy had some type of advance notice from Cassy. Remember, Cassy had sent a demand letter and all of that stuff first to buy the book and this and that before she ever sued him. So here's Jane. The sick part, Diddy, is you knew this was coming and you still gaslit me. Made me feel crazy about the sex trauma I was developing, knowing you've been here before. It's, quote, it's all so clear that this was sexual exploitation that you framed as love for your sick fetishes. Jane wrote at the time, and Diddy did not respond for 2 days. When he finally responded, he said, "Call me on this phone. It's important." We have another update from CNN. The jury heard 4 minutes ago recorded phone call between Diddy and Jane. The jury heard a recorded phone call between Jane and Diddy from November 2023. Okay, so this is how they got it. It wasn't a wiretap phone, everybody. The recording was recovered from a cell phone that belonged to Christina Karam. Christina Karam's phone was being used to record this. So she's in there recording, and Diddy's on the phone on his phone. Or at least Diddy was like, "Give me your phone, Christina," or whatever. This is a phone that was recovered from Christina Karam. That's where the recording was. Jane testified she didn't know anyone was listening in at the time, nor did she know that she was being recorded. She also said she could hear Diddy writing notes during the call. So again, I think he was just prepping. I think it was all prep, knowing lawsuits were coming up. Diddy told her, "You know, I can't really talk on this phone." Why? But he also said he would do what he could to make her feel better. Jane is audibly emotional on the recording. Diddy talked about the hotel nights. Diddy said, quote, Diddy said it was, quote, "just some kinky stuff that I thought that we both, you know what I'm saying, enjoyed." Diddy said, "I need you to be there for me." Jane responded, "Okay, well, who's there for me when I close my eyes and I have all this effed up stuff in my head?" She was referring to the hotel night flashbacks that she would have often. Diddy said, "I don't know what to tell you. Call Christina Karam if you need anything." And then he ended the call. Diddy and Jane spoke again, though, later that day in another call that was recorded, another recorded call. And she said she didn't know she was being recorded. Diddy said multiple times, "I need your friendship right now. I need your friendship right now." He also said, "You know, you ain't got to worry about nothing else." Jane testified she knew he was referring to rent payments on the house. So is this him trying to pay her off so she don't testify? You ain't got to worry about nothing else? 7 minutes ago, NBC News also posted about that recording that was played in court. So let's see if we can get some more details, some more information from there. Conversation between Jane and Diddy after Cassy's suit was recorded without her knowledge. Prosecutors entered into evidence a recorded conversation between the witness, Jane Doe, and Diddy. And this was taken from the cell phone of Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Karam. Jane told the court she did not know she was being recorded during the phone call, which occurred days after Cassy's lawsuit was filed. In the recording, Diddy is asking Jane what he can do to make her feel better and telling her that his love is true. But Jane is confused, telling him that she feels sick to her stomach after reading Cassy's lawsuit. She told Diddy he made her feel so manipulated and that she didn't even know what to do with her feelings. Diddy told her that everything they did it together. Again, everything was you too, he's trying to say. At one point, Jane is heard telling him that the timing was crazy and it felt chilling. But then Jane gets cut off by Diddy when she starts to say, "Just a week ago, I was telling you." But then he interrupted and said, "He can't be on this phone." So she's trying to put things on, kind of like in his head and his, make him aware of things into his awareness. And she's like, "I was just telling you like a week ago. I was telling you." But then Diddy cuts her off and says, "I can't be talking on this phone." 7 minutes ago, Diddy asked Jane to pray for him. He is pulling out all the stops. The legion of demons needs prayers, y'all. Diddy pleaded for Jane's support in light of the damaging Cassy lawsuit. I just needed to tell you, I need your friendship. You know you ain't got to worry about anything else, baby. Please pray for me. And she said, I will be. Oh, and then he said, I'll be praying for you. I need your friendship. The judge adjourned the court and told everybody to come back at 1:15. We got a new update from Washington Post. Okay. The jury is listening. This was 3 minutes ago, Wesley Parnell. Diddy's recorded call with Jane after Cassy lawsuit. The jury is listening to the first conversation between Diddy and Jane after Cassy filed her bombshell 2023 lawsuit, which precipitated the federal charges. Diddy sounds anxious on the call. I can't be talking on the phone, he says, asking Jane if she's recording the conversation. He tells her, let's get through this together. Let's get through the drama together. We did all our stuff mutually together, Diddy said. Diddy, who was surreptitiously recording the conversation himself, is heard interrupting Jane through the audio. Jane, who's testifying under an alias, said that just a few days before Cassy's lawsuit was filed, she had tried to talk to Diddy about the trauma and the depression and hitting a wall after those nights. Diddy ignored her, Jane said. Quote, you knew this was coming and you gaslit me and you made me feel crazy. Jane texted Diddy right before the recorded call. This was sexual exploitation. So she says, you sexually exploited me in a text, and then he calls her. And it's a recorded call. What do y'all think he was doing that for? It seems obvious to me he was preparing for a lawsuit to be able to use it. The first conversation between Diddy and Jane after Cassy's testimony. The jury was dismissed for lunch. Let's see if Inner City Press has anything new. Appeal to YouTube succeeded. Good. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to, is the chat like not working? It's like nothing's come through the chat. Did someone turn the chat off? What's going on with the chat? Okay, so I'm going to go take my break. I think they're going to be there probably till at least 4 today, maybe even later than 4. The judge did say he was going to be keeping the jury later for Jane's testimony. So I'll be back around 1:20-ish and we'll pick up there. I have y'all going over to Rabbit as the redirect. So even if you can't stay over there long, if you could just drop her a note in there, tell her BJ, that surprise witness, whatever, sent you, and I'll see y'all back in about 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. That's all we have for this one. In the meantime, facts ain't defamation, neither are opinions, all that. Love you, mean it. Okay, bye.